Hello, everybody, and thank you for tuning in and listening to the Real Short Box Live. My name, as always, is your ever-loving host, Donald, and right to my right would be Mr. Darren. Wonderful background you have there, Darren. It's pretty cool, actually. I, I was gonna say, I think I know where that's from. There'll be a John Candy reference coming later anyway, so we might as well have heavy metal on there. Right to the in the corner here is Mr. Kevin, who is not present at the moment. I believe it's just Dr. Doom in his very scary crotchical area. So there's that. And right below me here is a very special guest, one talented actor, Janet Lee Rodriguez. Thank you for joining us, Janet. Yeah, very much appreciate you being on. It'll be nice to get your perspective on some of these 80s cartoons and what you think and what you watched when you were a kid versus all these dudes. So it'll be nice to have that. Kevin, we still can't see you, by the way, just so you know. If anybody else can see him, I can't, but maybe he's frozen on my screen. But it's possible. Okay, well, you are not in on the other program, Kevin. If you're viewable via Skype, you're not viewable. In fact, you have Doctor Doom up on the screen, and your Voltron image is not there at all. So, why don't you bounce out of this, and I'll invite you back in. Okay? Let's do that really quick. So we're gonna exit out, and I think he left here. And I'm going to invite him back in real quick.
Marvelous.
Yeah. All right. There you are. Okay. Now let's add you back into Ecamm. There. Perfect. You're there. All right.
Little glitch, little glitch.
So I'm going to do a few things in the background here, and while I do that, I brought something up that I think would be important for the audience to find out, like something that didn't make our top 10 list, something that we really wanted to put on the list but didn't quite make it, and why. So we'll go ahead and start with, why don't we start with Kevin, and I'm sure you'll have something, and then we'll go, Janet, and then Darren, and go from there.
Yeah, there's this cool, like, sci-fi, somewhat horror 80s cartoon called Spyro Zone. And it involved this scientist creating this Spyro Zone in different parts of the Earth. And if you're trapped in this dark mist, all these people who live there, you basically become, like, zombified. They're called zoners, but basically you're like zombies. And, the people who need to free you, the heroes, they have to free people one by one and take on the different bad guys called the Black Widows. So it also has a cool little 80s guitar riff to it too, which a lot of these 80s cartoons are famous for. I really feel that a lot of these cartoons, a lot of artists were trying to really make it hard. So they sung their hearts out for a lot of these theme songs. That's why the 80s cartoons are so memorable. And I think you would agree with me, right, Brother Darren?
Oh, yeah, they're very memorable because, they have things that you can only really find in the 80s. Okay, so, some of the sound effects, some of the animation. A lot of these series don't have lots of episodes attached to them, yet they have very long runs. And they're just... I compare some of these 80s cartoons to... I don't know if you remember back when Super Nintendo was buying rights to movies and making video games. And the video games were based... It was all the exact same video game with, 6 different movie titles. So, the difference between Alien 3 and Judge Dredd was completely negligible. It was the same friggin' game. You walk down this thing, you come down a ladder. So, yeah, there's definitely a lot of that. As far as things that I did not put on here, there are a few that I'm sure have made your list, because how could they not? I did not include the Care Bears, but I think it's very important to mention the Care Bears, because the Care Bears were hugely popular. Back in my Ohio home, I actually have a lot of Care Bears that have been packaged away that are very valuable, and it was a very popular toy line, hence why we probably bought all of them, despite having only men in our house outside of my mom.
But also, weren't they started in Cleveland, weren't they? I think
I
so.
believe so. I believe so.
Okay.
That's kind of an amazing fact.
Just to let you guys know that we are posted live on the Facebook
Right.
on the usual. So go ahead and repost and share and start bringing some people in.
All right. What about you, Janet? Is there one on there that you wish you could have brought on because of the limited list?
Yeah, there are two. One of them is probably on somebody else's list, like Garfield and Friends, which I absolutely love, with that little egg that would walk around. No, I can't remember a lot of their names. I remember Wade. There was a duck. There was a pig. They were just so cute and so wacky and have different adventures. Another one, though, was Count Duckula, who was,
Oh, yes.
remember, a vampire.
Oh, yes.
And then there were all these crazy monsters that were also animals living inside of his castle. So
that was
those
cool.
Did not make my list.
Another one I forgot to mention, Defenders of the Earth. That was a cool cartoon.
Oh, my God.
Flash Gordon, the Phantom, Mandrake, the Magician, Lothar, and of course they had like their kids who were being like basically superheroes in training. That was pretty cool.
But just so you're aware, I mean, I think we should also talk about some cartoons that I'm thrilled did not make my list. Captain Planet will only receive ridicule from me permanently till the end of time.
Yeah.
That 30-minute piece of garbage propaganda, I'm done. Like, no
Oh,
more.
wait, Darren, to make you feel better, it was a 90s cartoon, not 80s.
That's true. That's true.
It was a 90s
Okay,
cartoon.
so it's a 90s cartoon, but it still looked like it was from the 80s. That should tell you.
Oh, you don't like Captain Planet? He's a hero.
He's not my hero. I'm with Darren on this. He's trash.
Maybe I liked him because he was hot.
You like that green hair?
Oh yeah.
You just liked him because he blew himself.
Nice. And the Mother Earth Gaia, she was cool. They were so cute with their rings.
Real quick, my mom just popped on, so everybody say hello to my mother. Hi, Mom.
Hi, Miss McKinney.
And let's see, my dad's probably there, I would imagine, although he might be sleeping. We'll see.
Hi, Dad.
Purpose and Chai has popped in. She said, "Oh no, I loved Captain Planet. Haha. Was it 90s? Okay, that makes sense. Yes." So
What's up, Natasha? Thank you for joining.
she's in on
Heart,
that.
Thank you very much.
wind, water.
Heart.
Yeah.
It was like the worst part of the Saturday morning lineup, and it like wasn't even close.
You
'Cause
just
at
like
that
the worst things the villain could do was pollute. That was the worst thing.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true. They were all polluters. So, real quick, we're going to be talking our top 10 1980s cartoons. For those of you that are just tuning in, thank you for joining us here at the Real Short Box Live. Kevin is going to wrap himself completely in bubble wrap for part of this episode, so that's going to be a real fun time. We'll see how that goes. We've got a couple more comments here. Hypnoathletics, exercising your mind. That's Hakeem, correct, Kevin?
Hakeem, what's up, Hakeem?
Hakeem, thank you for joining. I will get you that that footage. I know today was a busy day. Mondays are for me at work, so I'm sorry. I'll get it to you as soon as I can. Ricky Barnett popped in. He says, hello, and Captain Who, LOL. Hey, Ricky, thank you for joining us. Really appreciate that. Always a pleasure to have you on. Andrew Asher. Hey, Andrew. Thanks for joining. He says, oh, God, Pirates of Dark Water. Ha, ha, ha. Pirates of Dark Water was 1990s, and it was amazing. It was amazing.
One of Donald's favorites.
Don't you hate on that. Don't you dare hate on Pirates of Dark Water. It's amazing.
Hey, I had Pirates of Dark Water Valentines in 5th grade. Yeah, I liked it.
See, I have the comic books, some of them. I even, for my buddy, one time, I bought him a figure because he loved Pirates of Dark Water. So I bought him the lead kid. I can't remember his name now offhand.
I know.
I can't remember. But anyway.
Might get feedback from the audience.
Yeah, somebody. Oh, no hate? Okay, Andrew, thank you for not hating the Pirates of Dark Water. I appreciate that. Who said that? What'd you say, Sammy? Oh, you said Pirates of Dark Water. Oh, yeah, sorry. Must have skipped you, Sammy.
How dare
Cause
you,
some
Donald?
trouble, Sammy. We haven't even gotten to one of our top 10 lists, and you're already causing issues.
I know, right?
Come on now.
I know, right? She's already
She makes
causing
this show
shit.
Interesting. Yeah,
What is
good girl.
happening? She's just a troublemaker.
Now remember, she's one of our most loyal listeners, so you gotta treat her right.
Well,
You did
she
treat her right.
won hot sauce, did she not?
Did she get it yet?
Yeah,
Did
she got
get a
it.
prize yet?
She got it. And she sent me the picture that she was definitely supposed to, and said that she would send, so I could post it here, but I decided that I'm not going to post it here because I just didn't feel like it.
Kevin's sound is off. Is that right?
Oh, sorry about that.
Okay, so I think we can get started safely. We're about 10 minutes in, and we've got double digits here, so let's get moving on this top 10 list. Now, we are doing a top 10 80s cartoons from each of us. So each of us tried to cultivate and kind of dig deep into our minds to come up with what we thought was a perfect top 10 list. And then somebody else came forth, like, for example, I had mine, and then Kevin said, here's mine. And I said, oh, shit, it's the same damn list. So then we had to go back to the drawing board and kind of recultivate our minds, dig down into the dredges of what is the 1980s commercialism and capitalism when it comes to cartoons. And we really had to push some buttons here. We had to scrape the bottom of the barrel. We had to peek through every window we could.
Gotta sell toys.
Sometimes we got, in trouble for it. But, yeah, that's part of it. You got to sell toys. So some of the stuff we bring up there might be repeats, but overall we try to have a pretty good varietal for everybody here that's tuning in. Adam just tuned in. He said King Arthur and the Knights of Justice was 1992, but was still 80s style. Yes, and I remember that, Adam, if I recall, that was on a Sunday. So it wasn't a Saturday morning cartoon. It was a Sunday cartoon, which they were doing for a while. They would dabble every so often in Sundays with cartoons, and I never understood why they didn't. Like, more so, because I got tired of waking up on Sunday mornings and watching, it would be like, and now, Reverend So-and-so will
Come on.
be discussing why you didn't donate money today or something. You know what I mean? Like, it was just all, it was either that, it was either...
80s televangelist? That was the thing, man.
Not for me, buddy. Not for me. You give me my cartoons.
Use of God, if you know what I mean.
Give me my cartoons. Jesus can wait. Give me my cartoons. That's what I was thinking.
No. It's supposed to be the other way around.
Yeah, who came up with that rule?
Dude, Sunday,
I don't think it was Jesus.
Dude, Sunday is not only the day of God, it is the day of Bob Vila's Fix-It Show.
That's right. Bob Vila's Fix-It Show.
Oh, we got our first compliment. Janet is a cutie. Aw.
Oh, thank you. Who said that?
Hakeem.
Hi, Hakeem.
Oh, wow.
That's right. You met Hakeem once, many years ago.
Yeah, that's right.
Let's see. Yes, Adam says it had a badass theme song. Yeah, that King Arthur and the Knights of Justice. Yeah, I remember that. Andrew says the 80s lasted from 78 through 94. You're not wrong there, Andrew.
Right.
You're not wrong at all. Evan just popped in. Hey, Evan, thanks for joining us. He says, Captain's Log.
What's up, Evan?
Entry 4,497. The real short box is on again, marking the passage of another week. Yes, that is true, Evan. We're here to bring in the end of a Monday, whether it be a dismal Monday for anybody or an exciting Monday, depending on the person and the job that they work. So,
Evan, feel free to admit we're the most consistent thing in your life.
That's nice. I don't mind it.
Feel free to.
Yes, Evan, this old house, too. My parents would make me watch that all the time. I hated that show so much. Had that.
Did you learn something?
No, I didn't learn shit because I didn't want to. I hated it.
Did that have Bob Vila also?
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it was Bob Vila was on there, yeah. Yeah. Enrique popped in. He says, hey guys, sorry I'm late. Thanks for joining us, Enrique. Bonnie says hello.
What's up, Enrique?
Thanks for joining, Bonnie. Sorry. Let's get started on the top 10 for everybody. We're gonna go round like clockwise, I guess. So I'll start this one out this time, I guess, and we'll be discussing our number 10, each of us, and then we'll go down to 9 and 8 until we hit number 1. So let me pull up a few things on my list here. Okay. So I'm going to bring up something really quick. All you kind of need right away is just a little music to intro what I'm going to be talking about. My number 10 on the list. So enjoy.
Thundering across the stars to save the universe from the monster minds. Jace searches for his father to unite the magic root and lead his lightning league to victory over the changing form of Sawboss. Wheeled warriors explode into battle. Lightning strikes.
There's a power that comes from deep inside of you.
So these guys were crooners, man. Kevin can attest to this. Darren can attest to this. Janet can attest. We all can. Children of the 80s can definitely attest to these guys crooning. Jace and the Wheeled Warriors. That sumbitch sang his heart out. That song is amazing. I had forgotten it.
That man was trying to make the rent.
Yeah, rediscovered it last night, Kevin. I texted Kevin. I was like, Kevin, are you up? And he's like, yeah. And I call him and I'm like, so listen to this. And it's amazing. It's amazing. Jace in the Wheeled Warriors is my number 10 on the list. I'm going to be really quick about this because I know we have to keep this moving or we're going to be over time, and I don't want to do that. The series follows Jace, Flora, Herc Storm Sailor, Oon, and Gillian in their search for Jace's father, Odric. They have an opposing set of villains, but the interesting thing is this was originally produced by the toy company Mattel. They came out with a line of toys before doing a cartoon and then decided, well, maybe we should push this via a cartoon too, and then decided to create a cartoon. So the cartoon, none of the characters really technically kind of look like they do in the figures, and they were just Wheeled Warriors back when they were figures, and then they added the Jace because they didn't have a story revolving around Jace or anything. They didn't have a plot. It was just wheeled cars that would fight each other. And so they decided, well, let's do this. Odric, who's the father of Jace, finds a way to create this plant life, this material that will feed everybody in the universe, right? And he decides to create 4 of these prototypes. But what happens is a nearby star explodes and radiates his space station, his place that he was staying, and it radiates that plant life, and that plant life becomes sentient, comes to life, turns instantly evil, and decides on world domination, of course, as you would do. So Odric, the father, he's like, shit, I don't know what to do. So he has this key that can figure everything out, that can save the world, but he needs to split it in half. It's not technically a key. It's more more of stuff that can just defeat these baddies, these plant baddies. So he splits it in half. He gives half to his wizard friend that goes to his son, Jace, and then he hides, so he goes in hiding. So then the whole story is about Jace with his band of friends, trying to find his father, meanwhile fighting off these plant-life creatures that can turn into vehicles that have giant saws with plants, like Venus flytrap type creatures and things like that. And one of the coolest things about these toys was the fact that they were customizable. So you could take pieces off of each of the toy and put them on other parts of different toys that they had, the vehicles, so you can kind of make your own boss vehicle. So it was a really cool idea, a really great song, an excellent cartoon that I highly recommend that if you haven't seen it, you check it out simply for the ridiculousness. That's number 10 on my list, Jace and the Wheeled Warriors. Now, we got a couple comments. I'm going to read those really quickly, and then we're going to go on to Darren's choice here. All right, so Bonnie says, dismal Monday for me. Half my fence got blown over. Jesus, Bonnie, I'm sorry to hear that.
Oh, my goodness.
Evan says, gotta go, guys. My kid just handed me a stick with poop on it.
Oh, no.
That's cool, Evan. Brian popped in from Half's Hot Sauce. Brian, thanks for joining us. He says, Don and Darren hate on Captain Planet because they would have been given the heart ring if they were in it. Aw, that's kind of terribly sweet, yet awfully terrible, if that could be a thing. I totally get it. Andrew says,
dude, the bad writing and all that.
Andrew says, dude, the heart ring was the most powerful of all. Hakeem says, Wheeled Warriors, quick changing fighting machines. Yeah, dude, you got it. And then Evan says, okay, I'm back, puppy and 2-year-old. Awesome. Thanks for coming back, Evan. I hope you enjoyed Jace and the Wheeled Warriors, the quick description that I gave. We're going to move on now to Darren's number 10 on the list.
Well, I don't have as much love for my number 10 as you do, but I'm going to go with Police Academy, the animated series.
Yay!
And the reason I'm going with this one is because if you are a fan of the original Police Academy movies, such as myself, this cartoon really captured the goofiness, the slapstick humor. I mean, when the guy pulls out what you think is a gun and says, "Freeze, stick 'em up," and it's a chicken wing, because he all he does is eat. I mean, you have everybody from Mahoney to Fackler to Tackleberry. I mean, it's just, if you really like the movies, then this is the show for you. Yeah.
It's a fun little show.
Do you remember if Hooks was in there? I love her. I forgot.
Hooks was in there, yes.
Oh, I gotta watch that.
And Police Academy, that also was a comic book, Darren. Based on the animated, not based on the movie, of course, but based on the animated series.
I have 2 older brothers, you guys, and I accidentally gave it away that was their Christmas gift surprise, and that was a total letdown for everybody involved. They're like, "What is it? Is it Police Academy?" I mean, they were guessing, and then I was like, "No," and it totally gave it away.
Wow. So those that are looking on the screen at us right now, just under me on the left is a photo of Jace and the Wheeled Warriors, and then on the right there is Darren's Choice Police Academy. Now, Kevin, we'll have you go ahead and do your top 10 if Darren has said all he needs to say about Police Academy.
All right. My number 10 is, I feel really bad for this cartoon. They had it rough. They were basically playing second fiddle to the Transformers, and that is the Gobots. The Guardians, and the Renegades. Now, one of the things I think that hurt this unfortunate cartoon was the lack of creativity when it came to the names of the characters, because right there it tells you something. Guardians, Renegades, Leader One, Coptor, Psykill, Crasher. It's like, you couldn't get more creative?
Who was the leader of the evil Gobots, Kevin?
Psykill.
Oh, is it Psykill? So, Cycle, Motorcycle, Psykill.
Yep.
Coptor
for a copter. Turbo, is another one. And then, of course, my personal favorite, he was probably the most annoying character on the show, was Scooter. So annoying. Yeah. But they did have
Scooter,
like...
Scooter came later, though, didn't he? Or was he, very early on?
He was always there.
Was he early on? He was the one that was, more involved with the kids and stuff, wasn't he?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, okay.
But they did have these cool vehicles that they operate out of, like the command center and I think it was called the thruster or something like that. And Goldtron itself, the planet they were from, was actually a pretty cool looking planet, the way it was designed. So I appreciated that.
This command center was amazing, by the way, because it was super cheap, because no one could afford it for a long time, so no one bought it, and then Gobots wasn't popular. So I got all the not popular toys, or toys that were just too late, and then I would get them. So my parents bought me the command center, and I don't know if anybody's seen what the command center looks like, but it kind of looks like an AT-AT from Star Wars. So it was an AT-AT for me in my imagination. It was also the command base for not only the Gobots but the Micro Transformers. It was their command base. It was command base. I had small figures of the Thundercats. It was the Thundercats command base. It was the Turtles transportation. That was the Technodrome, the Technodrome Light, because I didn't have technically a Technodrome. That thing got repurposed for everything. So that was a wonderful toy. So thank you, Mom and Dad, for getting me that. I do really appreciate that command center. It was a super cool toy for Gobots, for sure.
Yeah, smart.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah, you can repurpose anything, really.
And you're like, I'm now using the command center to encase my bedroom. You're like, I repurposed it.
That would be so cool. Dude, if I had a giant-sized command center that I could use as a bedroom, I would totally do it. Legit. And one more thing I know, Kevin, that you were going to bring up, and I'm going to, just preface that with this little guy here.
Oh, there's one of those guys.
Yes.
And you know what's sad for the Gobots? They came out first before Transformers, but unfortunately, just because you were first doesn't mean you're going to come out on top, unfortunately.
Now, after the Gobots were not quite as popular, they thought they would come out with something that could make them more popular, and they invented the Rock Lords. And they created a movie, and it came out in theaters where the Gobots helped the Rock Lords fight off an evil Rock Lord. And this little guy here, he was the only good Rock Lord that was actually a robot. All the rest of the Rock Lords were consisting of rock. They were rock creatures. And he's the only one that was kind of like a robot that was disguised as a gold nugget. As you can tell, he's pretty shiny. So you could transform him back into a gold nugget. And in his name, guess what it was?
Nugget?
Yeah. Yeah, very creative, right?
He looks like he's from Clash of the Titans.
Could be like that little owl, yeah. Yeah, but I always thought he was a little cool little dude. A cute little guy. He looks like, what's his name? Johnny Number 5, stuck in a gold nugget.
There you go.
You know, so I like this one. The Rock Lords were actually superior to the Gobots as far as quality is concerned. Like, I had some Gobots, and they just fell apart after a while. These guys have hung on for, 30 years? So, it's good construction. Nice plastic, metal pieces inside. So, yeah. Definitely a better quality that they came out with later, but it was too little too late.
Yeah. It happens.
Yep. Magma was the bad guy, Hakeem. He said Magma was his favorite, but that dude was the bad guy. I guess you could like him. He had the mohawk, right? If I recall, he was brown and he had the mohawk, so he looked like a big.
Sometimes the bad guys are the coolest.
Chunk of poop.
That's true.
All right, so Kevin, do you have anything to add more with the Gobots, or?
That's it. I'm done.
All righty, Janet, why don't you go ahead on your number 10?
All right, this is so hard. I do love all 10 of mine. I guess I'm going to put Alvin and the Chipmunks at number 10.
All right.
It's sad because I love it, though, so much. Oh, my gosh. And you guys might have them on your list, too, of course. Alvin, Simon, Theodore. Oh, they're so cute. And, of course, the Chipettes, whenever they get to make an appearance, Jeanette and Brittany and Eleanor, and how they all coincide and go together with their green and their blue and their red. They're just like rock stars, and Alvin has such a big ego, and Dave is always getting mad at them. And then when Mrs. Miller shows up, she's character. They're just so great. I don't know. You guys may have a better way of describing them. Add in.
That's pretty good.
Yeah, they're an awesome little trio.
Yeah.
That's it. Eleanor and Theodore like to eat a lot, and they're chubby, and Simon and Jeanette are geeky with their glasses. Stereotype.
Also, they sung a Christmas Carol, if I remember, from when we were kids.
Oh,
They sung one of the Christmas carols.
Yeah.
I guess they originally started in the 60s, though, huh? And then
Yeah.
came out with more animated versions of them in the 80s. I love their World Adventure movie, too, where they have to collect those dolls that look like them. They have to go all over the world.
Yeah.
That was really fun.
Yeah, they've done some fun stuff with the Chipmunks for sure, and they're a very popular series. So I'm glad you chose that, Janet, to represent Alvin, Simon, and Theodore. I don't know anybody, man, woman, or child, that did not like have something Chipmunks in the 80s or 90s. You know, like pretty much. I remember having an Alvin that had a pullback thing, and he would talk. You know, one of those pull your own chatty Cathys or whatever. That you pull the So I had one of those when I was a kid. So I remember that for sure. And I know they did
That's so cool.
toys for probably Wendy's or McDonald's or something like that too in the past.
Shout out a lot, I will be, to my friend Megan Lucas, who is a super 80s fan, and she also has her Simon doll from like probably 1986. I'll be
With the
bringing her up
glasses.
a lot with my choices.
With the glasses.
I'm going to go to my number 9 here. My number 9 is Get Smart,
Ooh.
a.k.a. Inspector Gadget. That's my number on the list.
Here we go.
Inspector Gadget was an interesting character. Basically, Inspector Gadget was Get Smart. It was the character from Get Smart because it was voiced by Maxwell Smart, a.k.a. Don Adams, from the original television series Get Smart. So that was cool. It was produced by Deke Entertainment, who did a lot of shows. I believe Deke Entertainment also did Jace in the Wheeled Warriors as well. The story follows the adventures of a powerful but dim-witted cyborg police inspector named Gadget as he investigates the criminal schemes of Dr. Claw, who we never see, only his claw in the cat that's sitting next to him, and his organization MAD, so M-A-D, MAD, and his attempts to stop him. However, neither side is aware that it is Gadget's niece, Penny, and her faithful dog, Brain, who are truly responsible for thwarting MAD at every single turn. Penny is the genius, Gadget is the blunt instrument that she will use from time to time to fulfill whatever needs to be fulfilled to conquer and destroy Dr. Claw and his organization. It's a
She
fun,
had one of
silly...
those watches. Sorry, Donald, right? Didn't she have a communicator watch?
She
also?
did, yeah. She had a communicator watch. She always had her books with her, like her journals and stuff, and she was always looking up things. She was a very strong female character in cartoons. I know, like, we don't often get, like, for example, Jace and the Wheeled Warriors really didn't have a super strong, like, they had a plant-based little girl that was tough, and she was cool, don't get me wrong, but, like, to see the level of intelligence in just the way that it showcased Penny as the star of the show, really, and her dog, it was nice to see. It was refreshing, in other words. And as a kid, as a young boy, you know, to be like, wow, you know, like, Penny's kicking ass. You know, this is really cool. And you just didn't get that all the time in cartoons. And there'll be some later that I go over that you'll definitely know that was not the case, where they were just
Didn't
like...
it come out of France or something, too, or something? I don't know. I heard that once about Inspector Gadget.
I don't know if it came from France, but I do know that they took a lot of the character of Gadget from Inspector Clouseau, from the
maybe,
Pink
yeah.
Panther, because he was so
Also-
forgetful and blundering.
How does he have a niece? He's like cyborg. Is he like RoboCop? Maybe he was part human.
Yeah, he's definitely part human. That's what a cyborg
He has a niece.
is, part man, part machine. So he definitely has human parts, and I'm sure, you know, he doesn't need to have that part in order to have a niece, though.
Yeah. Go Gadget arms.
So we have some comments really quickly. I'm going to bring up the photo. There we go. Okay. So, anyone got the other chipmunks from Chip and Dale Rescue Ranger? Hakeem, stay tuned. We got a couple Go Gadget arms. Go Gadget Go. Go Gadget Copter. Yeah, guys. Brian Chanix has joined us. Thanks for joining us, Brian. Appreciate it. Bonnie says, my cat has to sit next to me while I'm working at my desk, and it makes me feel like Dr. Claw. That's pretty cute. Actually, I like that, Bonnie. Yeah, Hakeem, it's hard to know that you've watched too much TV, or a lot of TV, until you're reminded about all the stuff from your past. Louis popped in. Thanks for joining us, Louis. Louis said,
Louis?
I'll get you next time, Gadget. Next time. So he would always have that deep voice. I'll get you next time, Gadget. Yeah, so definitely.
Next time, Gadget. Yeah, something like that.
Awesome.
Yeah, Hakeem, Shatara was a strong gal. You're right, and we will talk about that a little bit later, I'm sure. He is more machine now, the man, for sure, Andrew, definitely. And Julio Galvez, thanks for joining us, Julio. He pops in and says RoboCop would kick Gadget's ass. Well, maybe.
Maybe.
The problem with a bumbling oaf like Gadget is he's too unpredictable. You have that unpredictability. So you could you could plot out all these elaborate ways that you're going to kill him, and he could just stumble his way out of them. So it's really hard to say. But
He's like
maybe.
The Naked Gun. Yeah.
Yeah.
He just barely didn't get killed. Leslie Nielsen's character.
Yeah. All right, Darren. What about your number 9 on the list?
I'm going to go with Rambo, the animated series.
Ooh.
Oh, man. That's dark stuff right there.
One of the things that really kills me about the whole Rambo franchise, which I'm absolutely in love with, by the way, is how much it has strayed since the original First Blood movie. It has gone, just the movie franchise itself has gone into a whole different world, from like a movie with like a really strong message, a lot of heavy drama, very little violence, in fact, to complete crazy towns. But this cartoon is very much in line with absolutely missing the original purpose of Rambo. And that's kind of what I like about it. It's absurd. I mean, you'll have people build giant mechanical dinosaurs that shoot missiles. Like, why did you need to build the whole dinosaur? There's no reason for that. Okay? You can shoot the missile, right?
Yeah.
It looked cool.
You've got his sidekick, Cat, who is a master of disguise. and he's always chasing around this evil force. Their name, unfortunately, is escaping me in this moment. But it's just ridiculous. I mean, there's a great moment, a scene where Kat takes out like the exploding arrows that are Rambo famous, and she shoots at like 2 fairly big sized buildings and blows them up. And Rambo pulls up the Jeep next to her and is like, "Huh, looking pretty good." She's like, "I'm ready to go." Why'd you blow up 2 buildings? Like, there's no reason. Like, you could have easily had target practice on anything but 2 buildings. You just blew up 2 giant buildings. I don't know. But this is what the series is. It's ridiculous. There's an episode in which he saves Santa Claus. Santa Claus is literally sitting tied up to a chair, taking a conveyor belt, about to get himself sawed in half. Who kidnaps Santa Claus? If you're a terrorist organization.
Very evil terrorist.
It's a very bizarre kind of thing, but it's also highly entertaining and very amusing, and there's a lot of laughs in there that are clearly unintentional, but they're still hilarious. They're amazing.
Yeah.
So get a chance. It's a short-lived cartoon on kind of like most 80s cartoons. It's very short-lived with very few exceptions, but you should check it out. It's a classic.
You know what? Now I kind of feel like I have to, Darren. Only for the Santa episode alone, because that sounds like a new Christmas classic for me and Katie to sit down and watch together.
And he, of course, wears the red bandana and everything.
Oh, the opening, they have the classic Rambo theme. Dun, dun, dun. And you see him tying his shoes, with his shirt's off, of course, showing his big muscles. And then he ties the headband in the opening credits. Oh, it's all there.
Wow.
That makes me think of Gremlins, because that was at Christmas also.
It's true, Gremlins.
Little guy dresses up like Rambo.
Oh, yeah, the little gremlin does, yeah. And the second one, that's the second one. And he makes a paper clip, and he makes a rubber band, and then does like a flaming Q-tip or something, if I recall.
He's so cute.
Yeah. We have, Hakeem says, Dr. Claw might be an aged-out Winter Soldier from an alternative timeline, sort of like how Cap went back. I guess you never know.
With that metal arm.
Right.
Yeah.
And Katie says they kidnapped the Sandy Claus in Nightmare Before Christmas. Yes, they did. You're right.
Yeah.
They definitely did. Okay, so Kevin, let's go with your number 9, I believe.
My number 9 is the sci-fi western cartoon classic Brave Star.
Ooh.
Oh.
Good.
Cool character, the Galactic Marshal of the planet New Texas, a Native American who has some really cool powers, 4 spirit animal abilities. He had the eyes of the hawk, which enhanced his vision. He had the ears of the wolf, which gave him superhuman hearing. He had the strength of a bear, which gave him superhuman strength. And of course, my personal favorite, the speed of a puma, that gave him superhuman speed. Now, what was trippy about this cartoon was his deputy, which is basically this horse named 3030. And what's crazy is he would like sometimes, stand up and be bipedal. And this horse carried a shotgun. Now that's very disturbing.
That's awesome. Yeah.
I love it.
If I saw something like that in real life, a horse just get up on its hind legs and bust out a shotgun, I'd be like, okay, all right. I surrender, Sheriff. And he had an attitude too, this horse. He was no joke.
That's right. I think I remember that.
Real quick, Chris popped in. He said, hello, lovely people. I hope Mighty Mouse is part of this discussion. Chris, we shall see. I can't make any guarantees, but we shall see. We've got Brave Star here right now with a giant talking horse that walks on its hind legs, apparently. So there's that.
Yeah, but bust out a shotgun or a special type of weapon.
Who's the green guy with the 1800s bar mustache, the handlebar mustache?
Oh, he's about Tex Hex?
I don't know. I guess.
Yeah, you must talk about the bad guy, Tex Hex. Well, there's 2 bad guys, but mainly Brave Star's opponent was Tex Hex, and then like his boss was a guy named Stampede, who was the main antagonist of his mentor, Shaman. Of course, I have to use that word, Shaman.
Right.
But
now,
basically, it's a really cool cartoon.
Was this done?
That Western feel.
Was this done by Hanna-Barbera?
Let me see. I think so.
It feels like a Hanna-Barbera, like animation-wise. It just looks like it. And I know. Oh
no! Filmation.
Filmation, really? Huh?
Yeah.
Okay. Interesting. Huh. Okay. All right. Cool. All right. Anything else to add to this?
That's it. Let us move on to Janet's number
All
9.
right, Jared, you're number 9. You're up.
All right, you guys might be disappointed that it's my number 9, but the real Ghostbusters.
It's all right.
Okay, I do love them so much, especially is it Egon's swirly hairdo?
Yeah.
Like this like funnel-shaped blonde hairdo. Yes, and just everybody. I mean, Winston, Vakeman, Ray, they're so funny. Ray with his little pot belly and his, cartoon body, and, going around in the Ecto-1 and Slimer is always so cute. It was just such a good show. It was so awesome. It was like the movie, but without, I guess, a lot of Bill Murray's comic entertainment. But it was fun. I loved it. I loved the slime everywhere. Slimer would slime people, and they were always going down their fire pole in the firehouse, and yeah, it was just really, really fun. And my brothers also had the action figures that I played with when they weren't watching.
You mean these action figures?
Yes, they're so cute.
Look at this.
And
Okay.
their eyes are like super
Peter Venkman,
animated.
right? Peter
I don't know
Venkman.
another way to put it, but yeah, a lot of character to those guys.
They got all the figures kind of wrong, though, because if you look, like the cartoon, you watch the cartoon, and then you look at the figures, they don't match up. So if you notice, some of you that can see the screen, Peter Venkman has a brown outfit, and in here, it's in real life, in the figure, it's kind of a gray with a yellow safety vest looking thing on it. Now, if you watch Peter Venkman right now, watch him on the screen, he does this.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah, his eyes popped out. That's right. I remember this guy.
I remember those.
Not to flex too hard here, Donald, and be a one-upper, but I happen to also own Ecto-1 and Ecto-2.
Yeah, that's
Really?
pretty one-upping. That's good, though.
Very cool.
Now, some of these...
I don't remember if Janine was in the cartoon, though. Do you guys?
She was.
Totally.
He was. I don't remember her figure. His tie broke. I've had him for a long time, so this is Egon.
Oh my god.
Right.
The tie would pop out too, but it just broke
I
off.
had a similar issue with his tie too, Donald.
Ah, see? Yeah, that was dumb. I should have not done it. And then here's Ray. Ray's...
Of course.
Pot belly.
And then my favorite of all, in the figures and in the movie, was Winston Steadmore. And
there we go.
Here we go. Ready?
Oh, he's like the girl from the
there
Exorcist
it is.
almost.
By the way, we met the real life Winston. We met Winston in real life.
Yeah.
Like about 10 years ago.
I got to meet him. Ernie Hudson. He's awesome.
Here's the ghost.
Ernie Hudson. Yep.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, funny
I remember
story.
those. Oh my gosh. I want to come to your house and play with that.
Yeah.
Funny story about Ernie's brother. We were leaving work and walking in the garage, and he was basically giving me some wise sage advice, and he's just like, so always remember, you got to be prepared, Darren, because that power perceived is power achieved. And I said, your brother said that in the movie The Substitute. And he's like, oh man, you're good. You're real good. I'm like, yeah. Come on, bruh. Come on, bruh.
B. Rent says I used to have one of those, and I think I still have a few of those. And Sammy says Egon came before Powerline, so why does Egon look like Colonel Sanders? He you're actually right, he kind of does look a little like Colonel. Buy my chicken, it's delicious. Try my chicken. Yes, chicken. All right.
They do say in like the toys that made us though that the colors aren't always the same because they make the toys so cheap until they make a profit and it's a big hit. They take like a previous story's doll and then they just remake it into the Ghostbusters doll.
They do that kind of stuff all the time in toys. You'll see, like if you do watch the toys that made us, that happens a lot actually. Yes, Big Twinkie says Julio Galvez, so yeah, that's a big Twinkie. Okay, so we're at number 8 now, and number 8's kind of a special one for me because I just fell in love with this series. Because when I was a kid, I didn't quite understand what was happening because it was like the first time really that they had complicated stories and plot lines and through threads, and it led in from one episode to the other. They weren't just one-offs and stuff like that. So this story, this cartoon series, is actually pretty seminal for quite a few different reasons. One of the reasons was the heroes were not the star. The villains were the star. The bad guys were the star, and you would know it just by the title. And that title, my number 8 out of my top 10, is Inhumanoids.
There we go.
Inhumanoids. Now, that is right front and center on the screen there. That is Tendril. That is the toy I had as a kid. That is the toy my parents bought me from this series. I did not know where he was from when I was younger, so he was just a big ghost for the Ghostbusters to bust from time to time. He was a Ninja Turtle cousin that would come in, kind of like Swamp Thing, and save the day, and attack the fake Technodrome, which was from Gobots. And I had a whole hodgepodge of creativity there. And in the background, you'll see this kind of a lizardy person with a rib cage. That is Decompose. His bit is he could open up his chest. He had giant bones, and he'd open his chest, and he would grab you and put you inside of his chest. And then also anything he touched would also decompose and become evil like him. So it was really cool. It was a scary series, so I'm just going to go over it really quickly.
You'll get scared.
The story, it begins with these monstrous creatures. They're encased in amber that they find in the Big Sur National Park. It's recovered by Earth Corps, which is the heroes of the show. Now, Earth Corps, when they go to fight these Inhumanoids, they put on these battle suits that almost are kind of like a cross between an ectoskeleton and a suit of armor from like King Arthur's days. So they're all pretty cool suits with different gadgets and things that they can do. But they're not the important part. The important part is the Inhumanoids. And the bad guys that are involved. A gentleman named Blackthorn, surprise, he's a bad guy. A gentleman named Blackthorn wants to free the Inhumanoids. So he finds Tendril, who's been encased in San Francisco, or I guess in that area, and he lets him loose. And Tendril gets loose and then goes and frees Decompose. And then when he frees him, they go to try to find their leader of the Inhumanoids, Metlar, who's kind of an ape kind of a creature with lava in his mouth. Very fascinating, these Inhumanoids. They're giant monsters. They're basically kaiju. And then basically Earth Corps then has to continuously try to destroy or like push back these Inhumanoids from destroying the planet. They team up with a bunch of quirky characters called Mutors, who's basically creatures that are from trees, basically, that come to life, or like rocks that come to life, rock-bodied granites, who are also part of a Mutors. So it's a very fascinating story about this bad guy, Blackthorn, trying to control the Inhumanoids to use them to take over the world, and then this like Earth Corps company that's a band of good scientists trying to defeat them and fight them back. It's awesome, guys. Just doing research on it and stuff, I fell in love with it all over again, and I was like, wow, this is my jam. So, yeah. Like, it's a really cool series. Highly recommend checking it out.
Classic 80s.
We do have some quick comments. Let's see. Hakeem says, characters like Egon Spengler are the best. Louis says, the first couple seasons was great with its darker tone. They had great villains like Sam Hine and Boogeyman. I think you're talking about Ghostbusters.
Yeah, Ghostbusters.
Amish says he really liked that show. Yes, I did like Inhumanoids, Amish. You're right. Yeah, we're talking about them cartoons, Jarrett. Thank you. Granok, yes, Granok was in there. Hakeem, you're definitely right. And yes, Jarrett, the toys for that line of Inhumanoids were insane. They were really literally about this big. Like, they were huge figures and like bulky. And they were not cheap either. So it was very cool that I got to even own one of them, let alone it be Tendril, who was a pretty cool character. So that's my number 8. Darren, let's go with your number 8.
We got Kevin's video missing right now.
I see him just fine.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
All right.
You're
so
froze
my
right
number
this
8
moment, Darren. You're froze.
Oh, I'm froze.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Do you want me to dial me back in?
No, you're fine now. You just pop back in. You're good.
Oh. Okay, great. So, my number 8, in my humble opinion, you cannot be a great 80s cartoon unless you have a great opening theme song. So, of course, I'm going to be going with Chip and Dale's Rescue Rangers. All right. So Chip and Dale's not in a singing mood tonight. I don't know. Maybe it's something I ate. But you're missing nothing, world. So the thing is like with Chip and Dale's Rescue Rangers, basically you take the classic chipmunks or Chip and Dale, those two little bastards who are always giving Donald Duck a hell of a horrible time from the old cartoons. You bring them into modern day and you make them crime fighters. And of course we have Peter Cullen, the legendary voiceover actor, voicing over Monterey Jack, who's one of my favorite characters from 80s cartoons. Monterey Jack is just fantastic. And he's named after a cheese, and of course he's a giant rat.
Yeah.
But no, Chip and Dale's Rescue Rangers, it's just quite a classic. 8 might be arguably pretty low on my list to put Chip and Dale's Rescue Rangers. It's just so well recognized, so well respected, and it's still somewhat enjoyable. Obviously, there is an age gap now, at our age, whether we can enjoy it fully or not. But I always was impressed that they told a pretty decent adventure / crime story for a kids cartoon, which is raising the bar a little bit, which I guess I always appreciate. But yeah, no question about it. You got to go with Chip and Dale's Rescue Rangers. And you have to say, I'm not going to reveal and say it is the best 80s cartoon song. There's still one or two ahead of it, but it is definitely memorable.
We got a couple comments. Sammy says, oh my god, now the theme song is playing in my head. Thanks a lot, Darren.
Hey-o!
And Jarrett says, Chris Farley and Patrick Swayze were in this show, yeah? No.
Hey!
Wrong Chip and Dale's, Jarrett.
I love that sketch, though.
Katie says, Peter Cullen also voices Eeyore in Winnie the Pooh. That's cool.
And Katie, he also voices a number of characters on cartoons that I'm pretty sure will arrive later in this show.
I'm pretty sure. All right, Chip and Dale's. That was your number 8. Kevin, your number 8, please, sir.
My number 8 has the theme song. Well, not really a theme song, but they sing la 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 la.
We all know this. If we don't,
Smurfs.
painful.
Now, looking back, I'm curious to what the creators were thinking. It seems like something psychedelic was going on this particular show. These little creatures live in mushrooms. They're singing and dancing. They're trying to have harmony until, Gargamel comes around with the cat named after a demon named Azrael, is trying to disrupt their harmony and try to kill them. And it's a very interesting cartoon, to say the least. They all have these different little different characters, like Jokey Smurf, Brainy Smurf, Vanity Smurf, Handy Smurf, and of course, we cannot forget the lovely Smurfette.
And why is she the only girl in the village?
No. There's a second girl they brought in later, Sunset. Remember Sunset Smurf? She came. Yeah, she came a little bit later. Just like they had, Papa Smurf, and later on they had Grandpa Smurf. They had a very long, ridiculous beard.
Yeah.
I swear there was an episode where Brainy Smurf was constipated. It just completely lost me at that point.
All kinds of things were going on.
Interesting.
On that show.
Little Greek Cafe says the Smurfs the best cartoon created while tripping on mushrooms.
Hey-o!
Sammy says everyone's on drugs. Chris says they all smoke DMT and thus the Smurfs were created. Sammy says the whole show is a hallucination and why are there only 2 women? Well, Sammy, I'm going to ask you to do something.
By Gargamel, by the way. But the 2 female Smurfs were created by Gargamel, interestingly enough.
There's also one more thing that you should look up, Sammy. Go to Google and Google the Great Smurf Orgy. And there'll be a story that you can read. It's about 1.5 pages long. You won't be the same afterwards. Trust me.
No, don't do it. Don't do it.
It exists. It's a thing.
Awesome. Also, boat ride in Kings Island in Cincinnati, Ohio. it was amazing Smurf ride, and you're just gliding along on a boat, and I mean it was amazing. The part with Gargamel had like thunder and lightning, super scary. It was the best. And then they took it out because they took out all of Hanna-Barbera Land. We just loved that.
Wasn't it great when all those adult Smurfs were on that planet of Pandora and Avatar? I mean, that was just fantastic stuff right there.
Yeah.
I could see that.
They had sex with a Thundercat, and that's what happened.
In Donnie Darko, he says, though, like, how do we even know there's genitalia under those little white pants?
Well, again, I think they're supposed to be like mush. Like, I don't think they're really supposed to have genitalia at all.
No, they do, Kevin. You just Google the Great Smurf Orgy.
Oh, no.
You will understand. Papa Smurf, they don't call him Papa Smurf for no reason. I'm telling you.
Are you going to say the same thing about the Storks as well? You know, the sea Smurfs, that they're the
same? Whoa. Don't even get me started on the snorks, buddy. The snorkels.
Not to be an egomaniac here, but this Smurf talk should have stopped at Brainy Smurf getting constipated, but apparently we need
more things to explain. Going on in pop culture.
Yes. And well, think about it. There were 258 episodes over 9 seasons, so this show lasted a long time.
Janet,
they're doing drugs for a long time throughout the 80s making the show.
Comedians that still reference it.
Of course.
Janet,
because again,
Alexei agrees with you on the Kings Island Smurf World. He agrees with you on that. He says it was the best. Speaking of which, Janet, is it your turn for number 8?
Yes.
Okay.
All right. So I think, let me see what I had. Okay, it's actually My Little Pony.
What?
Yes.
Awesome cup at the dollar store, which is the 80's design of My Little Pony.
Nice.
I don't know. I mean, I'm cool with the new design, but I just love the old design. Their eyes are so cute, and their little hooves are so thick. So I did look this up, took notes, like Donald does. So it came out in 1986. They did make the toys first. Hasbro did. The original names were Butterscotch, Baby Lofty, Applejack, Wind Whistler. That had Whizzer had the lightning bolts on her, and she was a Pegasus, and like everybody you know had one. She was pink with blue hair. There was Molly and Megan, and they would always say, "My Little Pony, Megan and Pony." So Megan, she was super blonde, and her little sister Molly, and this boy named Danny. They would come to try to rescue the ponies all the time. And there was Spike, the little purple dragon, as well. This is really crazy, though. Okay, so Tyrak, he was a demonic centaur who, in the first episode, he captures some of the ponies to use them as demons to pull his chariot of darkness, specifically at midnight. And then another one, Megan comes to free the flutter ponies, the little ones who had iridescent wings, but she ends up being captured herself. And Tyrak, the demon centaur, he can take humans and ponies and possess them and make them his minions. So that's kind of what they were always having, this like really demonic centaur guy, horseman, come after them. He looked just like the devil. He had the big horns like the devil in Legend. And it was pretty scary. And you could always tell something bad was going to happen when there was like dark clouds overhead, thunder and lightning, and all kinds of crazy stuff. And I mean, these horses, though, did everything. They could feed a little tiny pony baby like a bottle with their hooves. They could make soup. They could do anything they wanted with those hooves.
All right.
It's kind of like that horse you were talking about that has the shotgun.
Oh yes, I was about to ask you about that.
By the way,
they can do everything, but I never saw them hold a gun.
Really, that'd be pretty scary if My Little Pony was holding a gun. That'd be very scary.
Now, well, specifically if the pony was alive in real life and holding a gun, that would be the most scary, I think.
Yeah, it certainly would be.
I'd be like, what did I have? What did you put in my food? First of all, what is going on?
It was very medieval. I think what kids liked about it, though, was kind of reminded us of Peanuts, that Molly and Megan were kids, but they're always trying to come to the rescue, but where are their parents? But it was like really empowering, like, you're a little girl and you can do this. You can save these animals all by yourself, and your parents are just never around. Everything is up to you, Megan.
And you can be more in life than just glue.
That's right.
It's true.
For those horses.
All right.
Oh, and all of the little girls' fantasies of owning a pony were coming true, and I really loved horses. So, and I love them, and they lived in a really cool castle, and my next door neighbor had the castle, so I got to, take my ponies all over that castle and put little outfits on them, and they even had a hat where their little ears could pop out of the hat, and they had little princess hats. So they were really fun to dress up, which is really weird, like dressing up a horse.
On a sidebar, Donald, could we have our research department figure out how horses become dog food? I always
Oh no!
I'm just wondering, how is that possible?
I would like to take a moment, though.
Is that demonic centaur Tyrek?
Instead of talking about dog food, I would like to talk about cats and cats being food. And by that, I'm talking about my number 7 choice. That would be Alf.
Alf!
Alf, the animated series that came out not long after the whole actual live-action series. The show Alf, the animated series, is actually a prequel to the live-action sitcom. It depicts Alf's life back on his home planet of Melmac, which he talked about in the live-action series before it blew up, before it exploded, which is kind of sad. We don't really get to know Alf on the planet as Alf because he was named Alf in the series by the little boy in the live-action TV series. So this is actually about Alf, a.k.a. Gordon Shumway, who's normally referred to as Gordon by his friends. Each episode actually has an opening and an ending, much like with the Crypt Keeper, only it's with the live-action puppet Alf talking about what could be in the episode and then ending the episode to kind of cap it off, whatever happened. So it's kind of cool how they did that. I really like that. A bunch of adventures ensued. He had some friends in the series. He had a girlfriend in the series as well. They also did...
Was it Rhonda?
Yes, it was Rhonda. You're 100% correct.
Oh.
And basically, it was a fun little cartoon. It was 30 minutes long. They also did Alf and Alf Tales Hour because they did a spin-off of the animated series called Alf Tales. It ran, and it had fairy tales, basically. It was about him doing like fairy tales as Gordon Shumway and getting into trouble and stuff. So Alf had a very successful career in the 80s as a live action, as a toy line for like stuffed toys and stuff, and as a cartoon series as well. And I really enjoyed it. I always loved Alf. Me and cats never really got along, so it was perfect. He wanted to eat them, and I wanted to feed them to him. So that's where I'm at with Alf. That's basically all I have to say. It's just it was a really fun cartoon, and you guys should check it out. It's still pretty good.
Dude, Alf Tales is amazing. Alf Tales was so good. My favorite, of course, was Alf and the Beanstalk.
Yep, I remember that one very well. Alf and the Beanstalk was awesome. Darren, you're number 7.
I'm just going to do a repeat here for you all. I'm also putting Alvin and the Chipmunks. There's not much we haven't covered about Alvin and the Chipmunks, aside from the fact that Christmas, he just wants a hula hoop.
Oh, that's so cute.
There we go. That's
I just want... Yeah.
Darren's number 7. All right, Kevin, real quick before we go to your number 7, I'm going to respond to a few things. Let's see. Hakeem says, my He-Man toy had Battle Cat, but I had She-Ra ride Princess Celestia. Chris Duque, he says, this is random, but I've always wanted to see a rated R Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. I want to see a Leonardo slice and dice some bad guys up with his swords, a dark version of TMNT after the death of Master Splinter.
Well, there's a comic book.
Yep.
Like they'll give you some of that.
Yep, there's a comic book. The Last Ronin, I believe, is a very dark current comic book about the Turtles, and all of the Turtles are kind of gone except for one. And we learn about Splinter being gone and all this stuff. So, Chris, you should check it out. It's called The Last Ronin, and it's only on issue 2 right now. You could catch up.
Yep, issue 3's coming up soon.
Hakeem says Alien Life Form. Chris Duque says Alf. I loved Alf. I totally had an Alf stuffed animal when I was a kid. Me too, Chris.
Oh.
Katie says Darren and I entered our wedding reception to the Alf theme song.
Oh,
That's
so
cute.
cool.
Yeah. Okay, so Darren gave his number 7. Kevin, what's your number 7?
All right, real quick. My number 7 was considered supposed to be the sequel to The $6 Million Man and the Bionic Woman, The Bionic 6.
Really?
Yeah, yep. But they just went on a different path, independent show. But basically, it's a family of 6, almost like a Fantastic Four in a way, but with bionic powers. So you have the father, Bionic 1, the Mother 1. Then you have the 4 kids, one named Sports 1, Rock 1, IQ, and, of course, Karate 1.
These are awful names. Gee, or God.
I know. But they had cool powers.
Did they?
It was a good... Huh?
What was it, the power of boring children?
No, if you remember the show, it was a pretty cool show. You saw these bionic powers. You don't remember the show?
Not at all.
Well, yeah, look it up on YouTube. It's some good stuff. They went against the villain, Dr. Scarab. That was like their main opponent. But they had all the different adventures throughout the season. And just check it out. If you like bionic people or bionic powers, or you like the $6 Million Man, this is like the cartoon version of a whole family with those kind of abilities.
All right, we'll move on then. Janet, what's your next one?
Okay, so it would be Camp Candy.
Yes!
With John Candy. Now, I kept saying it to you the other day, Donald, this would be a shout out to Jesse and Lodi, because he looks like Iggy. He is the skinny kid with the glasses who's got allergies.
I see him over there.
He's always sneezing, and he knows that because I kept bringing it up to him. And oh my God, John Candy is so wonderful. You want him to be your camp counselor. He's guiding all these kids, and there's the prima donna girl who's always primping in the mirror. She's spoiled. And there's a couple of wacky kids, these boys, the real sporty kids who's like a bully. They're just so much fun. All these different characters. They're so cute. They always have to like play sports, so they have to like do like Boy Scout type of adventures, like make a fire and tie a knot and all this stuff. And then they always complain about all the things that they have to do. And kids get stung by bees. And then there's like this like hot nurse character who's blonde, who like is supposed to be his love interest. And it's just so funny. But they always have like this inappropriately hot lady in these kids cartoons. It is supposed to be about the camp kids. But it's just so fun to listen to John Candy's voice. I loved it so much. I wanted to be in the camp.
This is where I wanted to bring that back around to Darren's background there from Heavy Metal. There's a cartoon in there where John Candy does the voice of this alien guy or whatever, and he has sex in the cartoon. And it's very awkward because it's John Candy's voice, like moaning and making sexual references and stuff, and it just doesn't work. John Candy... No one ever wants to hear or see John Candy be sexual. It's not something that's ever been on somebody's mind, except for probably his wife. But John Candy was not somebody... It was just he was too wholesome, in other words, is what I want to say. Like, you didn't think of, like, dirty John Candy. But then, then he does the voice, and then, like, you get Camp Candy with John Candy in it, and it's just so wholesome and fun. And he wasn't naked one time in that series, thankfully. I've seen every episode, so I would know. I'd be more traumatized if that was the case. But, yeah, it's a lot of fun. Camp Candy is a riot. I remember when it came out, I think it was the NBC part of their lineup. And they used to do on Friday, before the big premiere on Saturday mornings, they would do a Friday night, like, intro to introduce all the new cartoons and like, talk about them. And I remember them talking about Camp Candy, and I was like, oh, boy, can't wait to see that, Like, I remember getting hyped for cartoons on Saturday mornings. They had premieres. Like, it was super cool. I love that. I wish they'd bring that back, to be honest.
I can't remember that theme song at all, though. I'll have to rewatch it now recently.
All right, so you get up at 6:30 a.m. to watch that show, Jarrett? Jesus, that's commitment. Yeah. Okay, so yours was... Let's see. Number 7 for you. So number 6 on my list. Now, it starts out with a little bit of music, a little riff, and then somebody says, "Tally-ha!" And then we start hearing the song, partially metal, partially real. Silverhawks.
Yep.
Yes, we're talking about the Thundercat wannabes. The series that came directly after, which was basically all the same voice stars, just doing these characters that were all basically the same characters, just with different changes in outer space. It was very weird. It was a fun little show. So fun, I bought it. That's
Hey,
right.
Nice.
Love me some
You know,
Silverhawks.
we're going to have to do a little exchange there. I'm going to have to borrow that from you.
Dude,
Yeah?
It looks like
Here.
an animated version of Trancers.
There you go. I put it through the screen for you, Kevin.
There we go.
You're welcome. Yeah, Silverhawks is great. It's a lot of fun. I could get a little more into it. I'll just briefly just mention the Silverhawks here. It's a bionic policeman. His name's Commander Stargazer, who kind of always reminded me of the principal from Back to the Future, if I recall. And also the cop from the cop from He-Man, Masters of the Universe, the movie, as well. But he recruits the Silverhawks, heroes who are partially metal, partially real, to fight the evil Monstar, or aka Monster if you said it fast, who's an escaped alien mob boss who transforms into an erroneous armor-plated creature, much like Mumra would transform, with the help of Limbo's Moonstar. Joining Monstar and his villainies, an intergalactic mob, Snake-like, Yes Man, the blade armored dude named Buzzsaw, who I had, and he was awesome. He was fought in the Transformer War. He was part of the Masters of the Universe guys. He was a Thundercat. I had that guy. I love that dude. He even fought the Rock Lords at one point because he had all these buzzsaws. He was a hero. He was a villain. He was a mad scientist creation. He was everything I could make him. There was a bull-headed guy named Mumbo Jumbo, which I never understood the name. I just thought it was weird. A weather controller called Windhammer, who was super cool, by the way. He was super scary. And a whole host of others. We had Quicksilver as the hero. He led the Silverhawks. He had a metal bird companion. I've already mentioned Tally Hawk. There was twins, Emily and Will Hart, who became Steelheart and Steel Will. And then the Silverhawks technician, and Strongman, who was still Will, and then the country singing Bluegrass, who piloted the ship, and then his little sidekick, basically, he had a guitar and he riffed, and then his sidekick, what was his name? Copper Kid, who was from the planet of the mimes, by the way, so he couldn't really talk, but he made like tinny vocal responses, so it was a really weird thing. The whole series was odd. It's kind of a trip, guys. I recommend it just for that. Obviously, I like it. I own it. So check out the Silverhawks. That is my number 6 on my list. Darren, what is your number 6?
Mine will also be a repeat, The Real Ghostbusters. I think Janet did a pretty good job of describing it. The one thing that did stand out to me, I do remember an episode where somebody was watching television on Channel 1, and the Ghostbusters are like, there's no such thing as Channel 1. Something is not correct here. But DirecTV would disagree with you because in 2021, there is a such thing as Channel 1.
Yeah.
And, of course, if you attended a middle school at some point in the early to mid-'90s, there was Channel 1 News with Lisa Ling.
And Anderson Cooper.
And Anderson Cooper. And a variety of other people. The one guy who's escaping me is the Spanish guy who was in the movie Getting Even with Dad, I think it is, Macaulay Culkin and Ted Danson. But whatever the case may be, that was the one episode that always stuck out to me. I always found this to be lighter and funnier, but there was also kind of a slight creep factor to The Real Ghostbusters. But yeah, definitely if you haven't seen it, check it out.
So Darren, there was a gorilla in there, right? That was part of the group.
That's the other one.
Oh.
The other Ghostbusters.
Let me take that picture down then.
That is another Ghostbusters. And you know that, Donald, being that we are the foremost podcast on fictional simian characters.
It's true. We do know a lot about simian characters of fictional realities.
Especially Lancelot Link's Secret Chimp.
Yep. Still haven't sold that comic, by the way. All right, Kevin, what's your number 6, sir?
All right. See if I can sing this right. Life is like a hurricane. in duck blur. Life stars, hazers, airplanes. It's a duck blur.
Might solve the mystery or rewrite history. DuckTales.
DuckTales.
Woo! Yes.
This cool show. You can't go wrong. Scrooge McDuck, definitely in my top 10 favorite cartoon characters of all time. There's one saying I've never forgotten. I'm trying to live up to this. He was telling the little ducklings one time, Huey, Dewey, and Louie, about how he got rich and how he lives his life. He says, work smarter, not harder. Something like that.
True.
And he always had his number one dime. So, and of course, all the bad guys are trying to steal his dime for some reason. Well, now we know why, because it brought him luck. So anytime they did steal it, all of a sudden he would lose his fortune. Everything would go wrong in his life. But you had a great supporting cast. Launchpad McQuack, you can't go wrong there. Love that guy. He was always positive no matter what went wrong. Things would always work out in the end. The plane would crash, but he would always work things out. You had, of course, Huey, Dewey, and Louie. Webby, the little duckling girl.
Webigail.
Yeah, Webigail. Doofus, Drake, the Beagle Boys,
Mrs.
and of course, Mrs. Beakley. Of course, his arch rival, Flint Hart Glumgold, the second richest duck in the world. And one of my favorite other bad guys, Magica Dispel. She's always needed his number one dime to, have these powers.
For some reason.
Conquer the world. So, great show. Classic. I know they've done a reboot of it. I haven't had a chance to watch it yet. I don't know if it's any good, but...
Yes, it is. David Tennant does
good.
Uncle Scrooge. He does a great job of Uncle Scrooge's voice.
It's hideous. I don't like the new one, Kev.
Oh, it doesn't like.
I think it's a lot of fun, Kevin. I think you'd still enjoy it, to be honest. But I could be wrong.
Yeah, the new one. Okay.
Yeah, the new one's definitely fun. It's newer. I mean, it's been on for 4 or 5 years or something. Chris Duque says, "I love when Peter Griffin dives into a room full of coins and breaks all his bones."
Oh yeah, that's the best part of the show. I mean, he's all him and all the family. They jump into the money bin. They're swimming in the gold and spitting out gold coins and having a good old time.
Yeah.
I mean, in real life, who wouldn't want to do that? Now, maybe not the coins because you probably break bones, but if it was just cash, pure cash, you jump into a money bin full of cash. Who wouldn't want to do that?
Dude, I want
to do that.
Trust me. If you haven't, you want to. I have done that. And trust me, you should do it too.
Oh, yay.
Thank you.
Also, those kids never acted spoiled, even though they're really well off because of their Uncle Scrooge.
Also Donald, he taught him well. It's like, you be good when you're with your Uncle Scrooge.
This is the Donald that
little voices, Uncle Scrooge.
This is the Donald that I always aspired to be when I was a kid, because he was, like Donald Duck in this, like in then Uncle Scrooge and all. DuckTales is great. I always loved being associated with that because I had the name Donald. It was a cool thing when I was a kid. Now as an adult, I'll still say I prefer to be thought of as a duck rather than anything else. So.
Oh, wait a minute! You're pretty good at duck voices. You can do a duck voice.
Yeah, I can do it a little bit, but my dad's the best at it. I'm going to be honest. Dad is the best at it. So we're going to move on really quickly here. You're number 6, Janet.
All right. Let's see. You guys look at it. Heathcliff, no one should terrorize the neighborhood. Oh.
There we go.
So
him and Riff Raff.
Amazing. I did have to look this up because there's so many characters. I remembered someone was on roller skates and he's got his headphones in and he's really goofy.
Wordsworth.
So,
I think it was Wordsworth.
That was Wordsworth, who lived with Mungo and Hector. Their voices were like that. They lived in the junkyard, and Riff Raff lived on a jet plane because he was more fancy. They lived in this Cadillac that transforms into an airboat and a camper. They're always doing get-rich-quick schemes or searching for food because they're cats that live in a junkyard. It came out in 1984. It was really called Heathcliff and the Cadillac Cats, and it was Cadillac. And then there was Cleo, Iggy, Marcy, Willie, Milkman, Sonia, and then one guy would always go, Sonia. And Sonia was also way too hot for a cat. She had like a hourglass shape.
And she had those like jogging things on, didn't she? Like
Yeah.
Oh, the
The little-
Transformers from the 80s. Yeah. And yeah, they were just so crazy. And wasn't Heathcliff, he was always after like a really pretty white cat too. And
I
like,
think it was Sonia. Was that the name of the cat he was going after? It was Sonia?
No,
He
no,
likes
no. This
Sonia,
is a
but
different white cat here.
there was another
No.
there was
Had
another
like a
cat that
bow.
went around on all fours.
there was a cat that had a bow, right? Like a pink bow or something.
Yeah, that
was
had
that?
a bow.
Yeah, that was the cat.
Yeah, it was crazy. And
Maybe that was Riff Raff's girl. Maybe that was Riff Raff's girl.
Crafts.
Jarrett
Maybe
says-
there's Sonia and Cleo. Yeah, I got those two mixed up. But they're like those get rich quick scheme things were hilarious, and it was like they were letting us know what it would be like to live on the streets and to be an adult who was struggling or whatever. They were very much like people. They were not like cats. But it was really fun. But it was also fun to see them eat fish, and then when they took it out of their mouth, it was just the fish bones left.
That's true. I remember
It
that.
was so cute. And I wanted to live in that junkyard. And also there was like all of these cars like piled on top of each other. I mean, just like a real junkyard. And I was like, how is it balancing on top of this thing? It was so neat. And Donald, like, you liked all those cartoons where like different parts would attach to a toy.
Yeah.
So with the Cadillac, when it turned into the like airplane, basically, they called it like an airship. Parts of the Cadillac would just fall off, like in the cartoon, and it would just take off.
That's funny. I like
Like a
that.
couple doors would fall off.
They would have
and
to,
then
like-
wings would come out
Yeah.
of nowhere, and it was like really cool. It was a transformer.
That is cool. I remember Heathcliff. I loved Heathcliff, actually. I liked him more than I did Garfield. He was my cat of choice. After Felix, of course, because Felix was also an amazing cat. Just a different era, but an amazing cat. Loved Felix the cat.
Dude,
They had
Heathcliff,
fun voices too, right? They were like meow.
Yeah.
They were always like that. Meow.
I don't know. I think Heathcliff desperately needed Marmaduke.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Maybe on the Sunday Funnies, but I don't know.
He started, right? And didn't Heathcliff start as a comic strip, I think?
Probably. A lot of them did. I know Garfield did for sure. Jarrett says never been more aroused by a cat.
Wow.
That's right.
Uh,
Sonia.
Whoa.
Chris
Like,
says
workout.
every kid was considering bestiality. And Hakeem says don't forget about Marcy.
Yeah, Marcy. That's right. Yeah, she was in there too. I looked her up. Marcy, Willie, Milkman.
Okay, so we're going to go to number 5 on the list. Now, we're halfway there. We are running a little over, so we're going to start speeding up a little bit with our explanations and talking about them. My number 5 is Mask. Now, Mask is an interesting one. Mask basically stood for, it's an acronym for Mobile Armored Strike Command, with a K, by the way. It's really stupid. And they fought armored vehicles that transformed and battled an organization called Venom, which means vicious evil network of mayhem. That made more sense to me. It had an emphasis on superpowered helmets called masks worn by the characters of both factions that fought each other. Venom's primary goal was obtaining money through either robbery, extortion, counterfeiting, kidnapping, or attempting to steal historical artifacts. But Mask would always try to foil their plans and always succeeded. The interesting thing is that the main villain of this series actually killed the main hero of the series' brother, which a lot of people don't know about, and actually was really super, like, adult, you know? Like, you didn't see that in cartoons. So it was a really crazy kind of thing that happened. These vehicles, I had a ton of them when I was a kid. Because the department store near us went out of business, and they had this huge sale. So I think my mom got them for me for, like, super cheap for Christmas one year, and she just got, like, as many as she could. So I had, like, the Corvette one. I had, like, the 57 or 55 Chevy one. I had the black SUV, and they would all transform, and, like, a shield would go up over the windshield, and missiles would come out of the front, cannons. The Jeep one would pop up in the back with a cannon that the guy could sit in and operate, like a Gatling gun or whatever. It was very fascinating, very cool cartoon series. One of the best theme songs, you're right, Jarrett. And it was just a great, fun cartoon. It was released on DVD, I think, in 2011 or something by USA's Shout Factory, if I recall. And so highly recommend checking it out. It's a lot of fun. That is Mask, and that is, yes, Mask, which stands for Mobile Armored Strike Command with a K.
It's all right, man. It's okay. It's okay.
Yeah. So anyway, check it out.
Command.
All right, next on the list, number 5 for you, Darren.
Another repeat, since we're all doing theme songs now. Inspector Gadget. There you go. It has to be done. So this is the first cartoon I remember actually watching. It was in the basement whenever my parents were out working or had a meeting or something to do. I would go down to the basement on I swear it was a Sylvania TV from like the early 70s. And it just never got thrown out until it finally died one day. And I spent a lot of time down in the basement watching Nickelodeon, which they were doing these reruns on. Inspector Gadget actually debuted in 1981, but I was watching the reruns in 1991. And yeah, it always was just a fun cartoon. I never missed an episode when I had the opportunity, and it definitely passed a lot of my days.
Yeah, it's also Chris's favorite cartoon when he was a kid, it looks like, too. Chris 2K.
Oh.
Yeah, so that's pretty cool. All right, Kevin, you're number 5, if I recall.
It is the Masters of the Universe, He-Man.
Yes. He-Man, He-Man.
Oh, hey, Kevin.
I have the... What?
Real quick, I didn't mean to interrupt that. Jeez, I'm sorry. But my dad said he wanted to tell me that my duck was impressive. So,
Yeah.
I guess I did all right. Thanks, Dad. I appreciate that. Go ahead with your I have the power, Kevin. I'm sorry I interrupted. I didn't.
Yes, I have the power. Yes. That's a cool thing. You know, one thing I never understood, where I don't see how people are so stupid. Similar to Clark Kent and Superman, you can't tell it's the same person. Adam is He-Man. The only difference is it's just He-Man is just Adam with a tan and with less clothes on. That's what I don't understand. How people can't tell. Wait a minute.
The purple outfit, though, was really, you were really wondering if it was the same guy.
I guess so. I mean, it's so obvious to me. It's like, wait a minute. You look familiar. It's a Prince Adam He-Man just with a tan. Because think about it. He takes the sword out. The lightning comes on, gives him a nice little tan. And then, of course, the other thing, you can't tell Cringer is Battle Cat. I mean, the only difference is he's wearing some armor and he grows a goatee. So
the
people
color of his stripes were different too, weren't they? Like green versus some other color.
Yeah, slightly, but it's pretty obvious. I mean, you see the guy and his pet tiger, or green tiger, walking around. You have to think to yourself, He-Man also walks around with this similar-looking creature. You think Skeletor would have figured this out years ago and just would have killed them, when they're in their regular form. But hey, it's just a cartoon. I'm supposed to play along with the fantasy.
That Christmas episode. The Christmas episode was great because Skeletor developed feelings, right?
Yes,
right.
he did.
Yeah.
He did. He got into the Christmas spirit. Those little kids touched his heart.
Yeah.
So he got into the Christmas spirit. By the way, his base of operations is one of the best villain hideouts or villain castles, you want to call it. Snake Mountain. You have like that red bloody lava coming down and the snake wrapped around. That's a cool hideout.
It was
That
pretty
was
cool.
A cool toy. A lot of kids had that in my neighborhood.
Bunch of rich kids, let me tell you.
There were.
And of course, the sorceress, the castle.
The
Grayskull,
command
the
center.
sorceress.
The command center was where He-Man hung out. The Gobots command center. And an upside-down pumpkin that I got from McDonald's one year. That was also, they would hide out in there sometimes, too. I don't know why. Don't ask me.
Now, Orko, that's a weird character, by the way. I never understood that. You don't see his face. All you see is just a shadow and just some eyes underneath. He's wearing this red gown with a big O on it.
He was Snarf, man. He was comedic relief. That's all it was.
Yeah. Wait,
Yeah.
he was like those little people in Star Wars, you guys.
Oh, the Jawas?
Yes, he's like
Mhm.
a Jawa. That's what I think they based him off of.
Yeah, that's true. But a lot of great characters. Man-at-Arms, Tila, Evil Lynn, Trapjaw, Beastman. I know those toys. Yeah, those toys sold a lot back in the 80s. And by the way, those toys were very hard to break, by the way. So those are some well-made toys, I must say.
Kevin, you
They were.
forgot about Karg.
Oh, I'm so sorry. We can't forget about it.
Find her!
That's true. That's true. I did love the Masters of the Universe Dolph Lundgren movie. I didn't care. I just wanted to get He-Man, see him on the big screen. Hey, Rob just popped in. Hey, Rob. Thanks for joining us.
What's up, Rob?
That's the same. Hey, you know, the director of Masters of the Universe is the same director as Superman 4 Quest for Peace, so you know.
There we go.
Fine company here.
That makes sense. All right, Janet, you're number 5.
All right. The girly 80s with Rainbow Bright, something, something. I don't remember the words, but it was really, really cute. So I will be quick in that, but her name was actually Wisp, and she came from this very, like, black and white and gray world. And then she discovered that land that wasn't really Rainbow Land yet. But she got there and she met a furry sprite named Twink and a horse named Starlight. And then she locates this legendary color belt and she puts the belt on. And she rescues the 7 color kids, is what they're called. And it does sound like slavery because she also frees all of the sprites that were under this like terrible spell from this villain, Murky, Dismal, and Lurky. So Murky and Lurky, they were trapped. Actually, the bigger villain, they were trapped by the King of Shadows. What did that make you laugh for, Donald?
I mean, it just inspires me to go watch The Birth of a Nation.
Yes.
What was one of the
rescued all the colored kids?
What was one of the little colored kids' names?
Okay, so you have Canary Yellow, you have Red Butler, you have Patio Green. Let's see who else. We've got Green Indigo, Shy Violet.
Sure it wasn't Patio Furniture?
Did you say Red Butler?
Yeah.
Well, he was a Southern plantation. Never mind.
Right.
Go ahead.
Like Rhett Butler. That's right. Yeah, but he was one of the colored kids that she rescued.
Jared says we had a babysitter who'd sing the Rainbow Bright song while beating the crap out of us.
Oh,
Sorry to laugh, Eric, but that's interesting.
Katie says Lala Orange, Shy Violet, Indigo. Chris Duque says my cousin had a Rainbow Bright doll that glowed in the dark. I remember playing with it as a kid. It was a dope doll.
Oh, that is.
Didn't they also have like glowworms too back then?
Oh yeah. Oh, that girl was the original Candy Raver. They've now made her they've done designs where she's wearing like a Raver's outfit with like a visor and she's got glow sticks.
That's interesting.
It's pretty cool. She's the original Candy Raver, Rainbow Bright. She was so sweet and brought joy to everybody.
You're crazy.
Yeah, she discovered this world and she just like happened to free all these people by discovering this legendary color belt.
Your crazy story about Rainbow Bright leads me into my crazy Care Bears. The Care Bears were something that they kind of, and this is, by the way, this is number 4 on my list. It kind of segues across all sexes and all ages, really. You could be a grown-ass man and have a Care Bear, and it's okay. You know, you could have been in World War II and someone gave you a Care Bear for Christmas one year. And it would soften your heart just a little bit and make you a little happier.
Darren was saying his whole house had Care Bears.
The Care Bears, they lived in a faraway place up in the clouds called Care-a-Lot. Care-a-Lot, we care a lot. It constitutes a part of a kingdom of caring with the help of their cousins and their buddies. So, example, like Janet, you and I were talking about Lionheart. They go all around the world on missions and caring, while evil villains such as Professor Coldheart and Lord No Heart try to thwart their plans.
Yeah, No Heart.
Very, very generic kind of stories, but the bears were cool. They had these like different logos on their bellies. Tenderheart Bear had a heart on his bear, and he was on his belly, and he was a cute bear. Grumpy Bear had like a cloud with rain and lightning on it. He was a very grumpy bear. He was my favorite. There was
mine's too, actually. One of my minds.
What was it? Friend Bear, Share Bear, Cheer Bear, Birthday Bear, Champ Bear, Swift Heart Rabbit was another one of the cousins. Brave Heart Lion was another one of the cousins.
What's the one with the Shamrock?
Gentle Heart Lamb, lots of heart. Yep. Good Luck Bear was in there. Playful Heart Monkey, Noble Heart Horse, Cozy Heart Penguin, Graham's Bear, Bright Heart Raccoon, True Heart Bear. All kinds. Polite Panda eventually came down. The Sour Sam was in there. Perfect Panda. Bunch of weird-ass shit took place in this stuff.
Like
Well,
that-
wait, I was confused about one thing. They had the cloud cars. They would come down to Earth. How do they get back up?
Cloud cars.
Cloud cars.
But they like dissipated. So what? They reformulated or something to get them back up.
Happened sometimes, Kevin. The
Mhm.
one with the rainbow on its chest, it formed a rainbow, and then they just like walked up the rainbow.
Yeah.
Oh, that's right. That's right. I forgot about that.
And also, don't forget, friendship is magic, so magic can help them too. All they needed to do was show a little
Balloons
care.
Popped out of their chest, and they took a balloon up one time.
Oh.
Yeah.
Anything could pop out of their chest.
Yeah, anything. Like the one with the sundae would pop out of the chest, and then they would all have drink of that one. I don't know how that works. It's very odd.
So who wins in a fight, Smurfs or Care Bears?
That movie was really good with that boy who gets possessed by a book with a big face coming out going, Nicholas. That was so good. Those kids' faces were awesome. They were just, their eyes were like, whoa. They were just so well drawn.
Okay. That's my number 4. Darren, what's your number 4?
Kevin just went over it brilliantly. He-Man and the Masters of the Universe. The only thing that I will add to it is that I do have a coworker who claims that he says one of the great philosophers of the modern day is Skeletor. And he said the reason that he says Skeletor is such a great modern day philosopher is if you realize you are overmatched and you cannot win, then cheat. He is one of the great cheaters of all time.
That's true.
So this is Skeletor alone makes this a really high ranking on my list. Just a phenomenal villain in every single way. But yeah, that's my number 4.
All right. Kevin, your number 4.
Voltron, Defender of the Universe.
Ah!
Now, as you see in my background, I have both Voltrons. Now, of course, the vehicle Voltron didn't get much love, but the line Voltron is the one that most people remember. Those 5 lines, the different colors, and then that sequence of Voltron forming together is a beautiful thing. It still holds up today. It's just so awesome. Form feet and legs, form arms and body, and I'll form the head. I mean, how awesome was that? How cool was that? I mean, I was wishing that thing was actually a real freaking robot. And then when he got that blazing sword out, it was a wrap. The Roe Beasts, the kaijus of that show stood no chance once Voltron got the sword out, the blazing sword out. It was a wrap completely.
Kevin, do you think Voltron could have defeated the Inhumanoids?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Now, of course, they'll give him some trouble, but ultimately, like I said, Voltron is like almost like a semi-god in of itself, like an entity. And with that powerful magic blazing sword, it's over.
Also, you guys, were the toys made better than the Transformers or not really?
They were made pretty good.
They're pretty. I'm telling you, Voltron's pretty strong. Transformers, I would give them a nudge up in quality though.
Because they're like also a little more inventive, right? Like there was like a cassette player Transformer.
Yeah.
And stuff like
Of
that.
course, yeah.
Yeah, they were more intricate in how they had to transform and stuff, the Transformers, but also keep in mind that the Transformers got cheaper as they got older. So, like 2018, I was at Chris Turner, our buddy that guest star here a lot on the show, at his Christmas party that he was having with the family. And one of the kids got a Bumblebee toy to put together, like to transform from Bumblebee into a car. It took me an hour and a half.
Wow.
It was made out of very cheapy kind of plastic, and none of the pieces really snapped in correctly together and stuff. Just the quality has gone way downhill since when we were kids. And we had the Transformers of the olden days, so to speak.
Yeah, the die-cast metal.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, so Voltron. Janet, what is your next one?
All right. Muppet Babies will do the same for you.
There we go.
Oh, I love them. I love Miss Piggy. And my mom would always go, she said, use your imagination. They were just so cute. Miss Piggy was always going after Kermit, like smothering him, and their nursery was just super transformed with anything they imagined. And then they had like actual video clips from movies, like something with Andrew McCarthy, like in Mannequin, And they had Star Wars clips. Like, it was amazing. They had like such great imaginations, and you really got into the stories. And then all of a sudden you'd see that they were just like put a cardboard box on top of a roller skate when the whole time you thought they were in a race car. Like, it was so much fun, and it like inspired you as a kid to play make-believe.
Yeah, they really spurred your imagination, or tried to, in that series. I really loved it. It was a lot of fun.
You never saw Nanny's face, but you saw those stockings with the green and white stripes. It took me forever to realize that it was Betty White's voice from the Golden Girls, which I was also watching.
Oh.
But they also gave Scooter a playmate in Skeeter.
That's right. Got to do a Scooter. And when they take off their glasses, they don't have any eyes. Like Dr. Bunsen Honeydew.
Didn't they do like the actual puppet version of the Muppet Babies in one of the movies? They did like a flashback.
Oh, right. And they were little babies.
Yeah.
Yeah, there was like, Mama, Dada.
Yeah. Right, yes. And that's where, like...
that one, they go like down the slide.
It came up with the idea for this.
Such a good job with that.
And it was so popular that they were like, we have to do this cartoon now. And that's where Muppet Babies came from, yeah.
Oh,
super cool.
Jared asked a very good question. What did Nancy look like? I mean, sorry, Nancy. What did the nanny look like, or nanny look like?
You know what I imagine?
Thank you,
Maybe
Katie.
Your head was like beakers.
Muppet Takes Manhattan, Katie said. Yes, that's where they were babies.
Ah, yes, a resident Muppet expert.
We don't know what Nanny's head looked like, but maybe she was part animal or something.
Possible.
Jesus, that'd be kind of crazy and terrifying all in the same breath. Yeah, what if she was like Medusa and they just couldn't look at her? All right.
You will all turn into stone if you look at Nanny.
So number 3 on the list. Okay. My number 3 on the list is Captain N, the Game Master.
Yes.
Wow. Now that is an underrated one.
Absolutely. Captain N and the Game Master. Now, a little bit about Captain N and the Game Master. It was originally supposed to be an advertisement, just a big advertisement for Nintendo. And it still was, technically. But they couldn't call him Captain Nintendo like they had intended, because Congress, I believe at the time, passed a law that cartoons could not be just direct advertisements for product. And in which case then they had to change and swivel a little bit and call him Captain N instead of Captain Nintendo. And although it didn't stop them from creating in the second season a character named Game Boy, who was essentially a Game Boy and helped them out in missions occasionally. But we had Kid Icarus, we had Simon Belmont from Castlevania, we had Mega Man, and we had Captain N. And they fought the likes of Mother Brain, who was the leader over King Hippo, Eggplant Wizard, and Dr. What was his name? Dr. Mega Man's villain.
Oh, Dr.
Wily.
Dr. Wily, thank you. Also had some special appearances by Donkey Kong, the Count from Castlevania, and Dr. Light from Mega Man as well. And occasionally the cast of The Legend of Zelda cartoon would reprise their roles in the series as well, because Zelda had his own series near that time also. It was a really cool show. It was really, really weird and random and stuff. One of the greatest things I remember from that is Mother Brain's voice. Having just seen Little Shop of Horrors and knowing the voice of the plant of Audrey 2, that is the same voice. Voiced by none other than Levi Stubbs, by the way.
Wow.
Levi Stubbs, who is of fame from being in the Four Tops of Motown, did the voice of Audrey 2, right, and Mother Brain for the series. So I always thought that was super cool. I knew that even when I was a kid. And I was like, this is great. But it's a fun romp through Nintendo worlds where he uses his gun to open like portholes, if I recall, and then jump from one game to the other, which is how they can then advertise another game that they're trying to sell in real life. It's very clever, but also a very fun story and a very fun cartoon as well. It's Captain N, the Game Master. Can't recommend it enough, guys. Check it out. All right, that is my number 3. What is your number 3, Darren?
DuckTales. Kevin, you've given a glorious description. I really don't have anything to add, so feel free to move on.
All right, there we go. Kevin, your next one.
My number 3 is Cobra, 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 Cobra. G.I. Joe.
Oh, I thought you were talking about Thundercats, buddy.
G.I. Joe, go Joe.
I mean, you have to say, this is the biggest recruiting tool for the U.S. military for children for when you grow up. I mean, you felt patriotic. You saluted the flag. You were pumped up to serve the country and get guns and take out the bad guys. I mean, what more can you say? All the different characters from Cobra Commander to Destro had a great voice. The Baroness, Major Blood, Zartan, the Dreadnoughts. My favorite were the two twins, Tomax and Zaymot. You would punch one, the other one would feel the pain. And they ran this corporation that was like the front for Cobra called Extensive Enterprises. Out of like that skyscraper. I love that. That was so cool. And then of course, Storm Shadow, who was like the arch rival to Snake Eyes. I mean, it was great. And then, of course, no one died. You know, they would shoot down planes left and right. They'd blow up in a million pieces. They would parachute just in time. So, of course, they hid the realities of war from us kids. You thought, oh, this is so much fun. No one really gets killed.
Yeah.
But
it's true.
I've always wondered how they were to finance their operations. I mean, they had a ton of planes and tanks and boats, all kinds of complex technology. They actually had some cool bases too, Cobra. The Cobra Temple.
Jarrett says,
I mean, that's some cool stuff.
Jarrett says so many parachutes.
Yeah, so many parachutes.
The guy with the crazy voice, you guys, Destro. Was that? Or was it
Cobra
Commander?
Yeah, Cobra Commander. Cobra Commander. We wore like the faceplate or the terrorist-looking mask.
Same guy that did Starscream, right?
Yeah, he did Starscream. That's Frank Latta.
Yeah.
God rest his soul.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, Chris Latta. Chris Latta. That's the name of the actor.
Okay.
Hey, Kevin. I think the one thing that's interesting, what I remember actually most about G.I. Joe, is that it was also post credits. It was very educational.
Oh no!
Just like He-Man. They give you a good word.
Yeah. I remember I learned not to fall asleep on the beach without sunscreen because knowing is half the battle, my friend.
I also, Darren, I learned that if you wanted quick energy, you shouldn't have a candy bar. You should have an apple because that'll give you sustained energy. And you know what? Even then, I said, this is some bullshit. If I want a candy bar, I'm having a Snickers bar. There's peanuts in there and caramel, and that's protein. It's delicious. Shut up, G.I. Joe. Apples. Give me a damn apple.
Touch a wire, like an electric wire that has
bare wire, yeah.
Yeah.
There's also the creepy guy who tried to kidnap the kid. I think Quick Kid came and said, hey, he picks up the phone. He's like, hey, there's a guy who's outside. And then he sees him and he speeds off.
What was up with kidnap messaging in the 80s?
Well, come on now. A lot of crazy things were going on back then. Kids were getting kidnapped and unfortunate tragedies were happening.
They wanted to kidnap us.
Not for the right reasons.
Kidnapping for the right reasons.
Yeah, it's true. I shouldn't say that. I don't know how you could kidnap someone for the right reasons.
Right, that's true. So, real quick, Hakeem says, G.I. Joe phonetically reminds me of G.I. Jew? Jesus, Hakeem, I'm sorry. Which absurdly translate to chicken love wine in Mandarin.
Hi-yo!
Okay.
Chicken love wine.
And then, Jarrett, you can't say, in knowing is half the battle, without somebody then going, G.I. Joe.
Yeah, there you go.
Every time, still to this day.
American hero. Go, Joe.
Hakeem says he almost got kidnapped for real in the 80s.
Oh, God.
Whoa, that's not good.
Yeah, you just bring the room down, Hakeem. I mean,
jeez.
My God, man.
So they needed those messages out there, is what he's saying.
I mean, I think Different Strokes had the best kidnapping episode. Just saying.
Okay, I gotta look at that one.
And Mr. Belvedere had the best My Camp Counselor Touched Me Inappropriately episode.
Yep, I remember that. With Wesley. I remember that.
Okay.
All right, so number 3, I think it is on your list, Janet?
Yes, all right. So I actually have the DVD of Beverly Hills Teens.
Oh,
it's
wow.
not like Beverly Hills 90210, but it came out first.
So someone ripped off somebody.
in Beverly Hills, do 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 do, and you see these palm trees, and you see like the crest, for Beverly Hills. So I knew nothing about Beverly Hills or Rodeo Drive, but these kids ride around in this big limousine with a pool inside of it. It was crazy. You had character names like Troy, Blaze, Lark, and Bianca had like her like evil little dog. And then there was Chester McTeck, who also looks like Jesse. He's a redheaded kid with glasses. The best part was this Chester McTeck is younger than all of them, but he needs a date to go to the dance. So he creates a robot woman to come to the dance with him. And she's got all these dance moves and everything, but then she's dancing so fast that the robot just like explodes. And it's really, really fun. Also, there is a bonus episode of Heathcliff on this DVD.
Hey! There we go.
So, they got me there. Although this is a gift from one of my good friends. And also these rocker people, their names were Jet and Gig. And she had a Valley Girl accent. Like, oh my God, like totally. So they were very Valley Girl, very Beverly Hills happening.
What's the name of it again, Janet?
Beverly Hills Teens.
Wow.
So who did Brandon and Brenda Walsh basically were still stolen from? Like who were they in the cartoon?
Troy. Oh, also, yeah. Sorry, Donald, you need to hear that name. His name was Pierce Thorndike III.
Thorndike III.
Yes.
Wow.
Blackthorn's brother.
That's right. That's you. That would kind of be like Brenda and Brandon, but Brenda and Brandon were like too innocent for like these kids. Maybe Lark. She was kind of innocent like Brenda.
So this is
really fun.
This is Beverly Hills Teens. I've never heard of it, never seen it before.
It was pretty obscure, but I was watching it in like 1986 when I would visit or 1987 when I would visit my relatives in Miami. My Cuban cousins were playing it in their house.
Yeah.
Nice. Huh. Okay.
It's fun.
Beverly Hills Teens. All right, so let's go to number 2 on the list of our top 10 80s cartoons. Mine, some might not like it, some might not care at all, but others might just think it's more than meets the eye. We're talking about the Transformers, guys. This is number 1 on my 80s cartoon of all time. We're talking Optimus Prime, we're talking Megatron, we're talking Starscream, we're talking Jazz, we're talking my favorite, Ironhide. We're talking about Beachcomber. We're talking about all these wonderful characters.
Starscream.
Soundwave. Starscream.
Soundwave, yep.
All the guys.
Starscream had the cassette tape, right?
The Constructicons.
By the way, right now Netflix has, I think it's a 3 or 4 part series. It's an anime kind of esque series about the Transformers. Back when they were on Cybertron and the war that's taking place. It's all animated. It is wonderful. I watched it on a plane when I was flying. I think it was flying to Ohio last year, and watched it on the plane and finished the whole thing. It was so good. It's so good, guys. I highly recommend it. It's Transformers. I think it's called Cybertron Wars or something like that, but it's really good. Definitely recommend it. The movie also, the original Transformers movie, is heartbreaking. But necessary for them, I guess, to try to create more toys and move on from the past and stuff. It was a very interesting thing to see the death of the lead character of a cartoon series and then him being replaced immediately by another guy you only knew for an hour and 30 minutes or something. It's very odd.
If that.
But he also had an amazing theme song. You got the touch!
Stan Bush.
Yes.
You got the power!
I don't know if I mentioned it. Angie said she was late. She blew up her electric box. So, sorry about that. She said she has all her fingers still, so that's good.
Yeah, that's great.
Yeah, sorry about that, Angie. Thankfully, your fingers are still intact. Now, I know Transformers is probably going to be on a few lists here. So, I'm going to keep it brief. Darren, what's your number 2?
I'm going to go, of course, with my continual theme here that if you have a great theme song, you're a great 80s cartoon, and this is the greatest theme song of all 80s cartoons. We, of course, do nonstop advertising for them. We should be owed royalties. That, of course, would be the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
Yeah.
Without question, the most popular independent comic book ever. Turtle Mania was a real thing. I love this cartoon. It is the perfect combination of complete camp mixed with genuine humor, fun, and very cool action scenes, for an animated cartoon at the time. The original theme, or the opening theme, was actually written by Chuck Lorre, for those of you who are wondering. What's really kind of fun is that if you watch Two and a Half Men, which I happen to be a huge fan of, Charlie Sheen actually plays the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles theme, and Jake's like, oh God, that sucks. Just to show kind of the disconnect of what's happening. When you have the evil Shredder attack, those turtle boys don't cut them no slack.
Yes.
So, yeah, clearly we all know about Donatello. We all know about Michelangelo, Leonardo, and Raphael. What's really interesting is this cartoon does keep it rather light as opposed to the movies, which are slightly darker, or I guess you could say a little heavier. They're not super heavy, but, obviously you have the greatest villains in independent comics, Bebop, Rocksteady, Baxter Stockman, Krang, Shredder. I mean, you could go on and on. You could go on and on about all the great villains here. April O'Neil, of course, great hero. Casey Jones. It's weird because it feels so thrown together, but it's thrown together brilliantly. Can't say enough about the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. And like I said, fight me for it. There's just no better 80s theme song.
Teenage Mutant
Wow.
Ninja Turtles.
We're getting
Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
We're getting a lot of chats.
Turtle Power.
So I'm just going to mention real quick, since we got a bunch of chats popping up. Hakeem says, I had the privilege to train in the same gym with Ashley Bell, who is the daughter of Mike Bell, who voiced characters on G.I. Joe and Transformers.
Oh, wow.
Sammy says Turtle Power. Amish says pizzas. Sammy says keep the nunchucks away from Donald. Probably a good idea. Angie says that song is gold. They're the world's most fearsome fighting teens. Cut 'em no slack says Amish. I said in the chat, I need a pizza with pineapple cottage cheese. Please.
Ooh.
That sounds delicious. Sammy says I had figures when I was a kid. No clue where they are now. Always loved the nunchuck Michelangelo, and says Hakeem, and Amish says, yes, I think. Yeah, so I met the stunt guy for Michelangelo from the movie. Oh, cool, Amish. That's actually really cool.
Nice.
And Kevin, the picture that you saved for us is actually a GIF, or a GIF, however you want to pronounce it. So it's the Ninja Turtles pulling out their weapons over and over on loop, so it's really super cool.
Pretty cool. Pretty cool, right?
Yeah. So what's your number 2?
It's just the same as your number 2, interestingly enough.
Hey!
The Transformers.
Hot damn.
Hey.
And another top 10 great villains from the 80s of all time, Megatron. With that raspy voice, always trying to keep Starscream from trying to betray him and take over. Well, of course, he was dealt with eventually in Transformers the movie for betraying him for the last time. Boy, was he dealt with. But that Transformers the movie, like you said, very powerful. Very life-changing for a lot of kids. A lot of kids were crying. I remember in school, someone told me, they killed Optimus Prime. He died in the movie. I was like, what? And a lot of people were crying. A lot of parents were upset. It was very controversial. Interestingly enough, they made a mistake in marketing. The opposite was supposed to have happened. G.I. Joe was the one that had a little older segment, so they were supposed to kill off Duke. But they made a mistake. Instead, they decided to kill off Optimus Prime. And then when they realized their mistake, they decided not to kill off Duke in G.I. Joe the movie. Although they really did. They just had to put that little voiceover at the end saying, hey, Duke's recovering. He'll be A-OK. But he died. When he got that thing in the heart, you knew he was dead. Everyone's crying. They knew he was dead, but they was trying to be clever and fool us kids back at the time.
Right. Them sons of bitches.
Yeah.
All right. Janet, what's your number 2?
All right, number 2. Shoot, I have to think of. I don't remember exactly how the song goes, but it's She-Ra. Everyone's He-Man. Do you guys remember the song?
No.
It was like She-Ra, She-Ra, She-Ra.
Or am I thinking of He-Man?
That's He-Man. No, She-Ra's like, it's like She-Ra, She-Ra, something like that.
Kevin, your eyes light up. They sparkle when you sing that song. You should do it more often.
Well, you know why? I was jealous of She-Ra's abilities that He-Man didn't have. Like, how is it she's able to communicate with animals? She had like more powers than He-Man. He-Man just had basic strength.
She's a woman. That's how.
She had all this extra power. I was like, come on, that's not fair.
Part of the sun god. She's the more powerful twin.
I guess so.
I kind of want them to be a couple, and then I realized they were brother and sister. It was kind of like
brother and sister.
Kind of thing.
Bad idea, Janet.
Oh, Tila could be with He-Man, and then she could be with that bow guy with the heart on his chest. And then, there were a lot of cool characters. She had a really awesome Pegasus horse she flew around on. Her name was Adora, which goes with Adam, her twin. And you can definitely also tell that Adora is She-Ra, and she lives in Etheria. But what's crazy is she wanted to be part of the evil horde. She thought that group was good, but they were evil. She didn't know that growing up.
Yeah, and she was kidnapped.
Yeah, and then when she discovered her sword, then she discovered that he was evil and she was fighting for good. And I just loved it. I loved Katra. I loved all the dolls. She had like super shiny iridescent cape that was like red and gold, and her.
What's with the dude? What's with the dude with the heart and like the bow and arrow? He had like this really skimpy outfit.
Yeah, he was hot. That was her man. Yeah, he was just named Bo. It was so crazy. And she had, I forget, this other like really witchy lady that was really short. She was really cool.
Oh, I know what you're talking about.
I should remember her name because I was just watching the new She-Ra also. But yeah, and then now I'm trying to remember what she says with her sword, because I have a picture with the sword. She says,
she says like, for the honor of Grayskull.
For the honor of Grayskull, instead of like, I have the power, or by the power of Grayskull. Yeah, she says for the honor of Grayskull. That's right. She was pretty amazing. She was very strong, very sure of herself. She was badass warrior woman. I wouldn't mind if she was a little bit more muscular, but whatever.
Well, by the way, for you, Janet, who wins in a fight, Wonder Woman or She-Ra?
They seem very similar to me. That would be a pretty hard battle. They also both have those golden bracelets, although I don't think She-Ra can do anything with her bracelets. I would almost say Wonder Woman. She seems pretty unstoppable. She's got the bracelet. She's got the lasso of truth. I don't know. It seems like Wonder Woman does more stunts and can jump higher than She-Ra, so probably Wonder Woman.
Okay. Fair enough.
Nice.
And hopefully one day they'll do a live-action She-Ra movie eventually.
I would love that. Oh, it'd be so cool.
That would be very cool. And it'll happen after they do the He-Man film, if it's successful. That's what we'll get.
Oh, that's right. They're trying to redo that.
And Hakeem, you're right. Hordak, I think, is just as great a villain as Skeletor, to be honest. I loved Hordak as a kid. It is a really good picture. Thanks for getting that, Kevin. Yeah, thank you, Angie, for noticing.
You. And what's cool is Skeletor and Hordak, of course, used to be teamed up together, and they both were under this character named Horde Prime. That was like their ultimate master.
Yep. They were related, I think, weren't they? Hordak and Skeletor or something? They're all
not so much related. It was kind of like a master and teacher type of thing for a bit, and then eventually they went their own separate ways.
Ah, okay. Got it. All right, so my number one. We're finally at number one, guys. I'm sorry this went a little over. But when you're in the groove, you're on the jazz, you're on the jazz. And we were on the jazz here. So, again, my number one is Darren's number two.
Of course.
I'm just waiting on this to open up.
The GIF.
There we go. Okay. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Yes, that is my number one 80s cartoon. It's also probably, I'm going to be honest, if we do a 90s cartoon one, it'll probably be my number one 90s cartoon too. Because it lasted for so long, and it was such a inspirational cartoon for me as far as, like, this was my life for years. Like 3 or 4 years, probably. I was a Ninja Turtle. Donatello was Donatello. We played Ninja Turtles on the playground.
Where's your bow stick?
Well, and we had all the characters. We even had Shredder, this kid in school, Brian Shoemaker, I think it was. Angie, correct me if I'm wrong, but Brian Shoemaker, I think, was the kid that we used to go to school with. And we used to yell at him and call him Shredder, and then we would chase him and push him down. And he did not want to play this. This was not a game he was a part of at all. We would just find him, yell, "There's the Shredder," and then go push him down.
Dang. You bullied that kid.
Looking back now, yes, I believe we did bully Brian, and that's probably why Brian and I are not friends now as adults. But
that
I
sounds
didn't
like
know.
some kind of Adam Sandler story.
But
You're
to
like,
be
my eyes just went
right.
red. Everything went red, and I attacked him.
But to be fair, I mean, we did incorporate some of the misfit toys on the playground, so to speak. So it was like me and Pat Calder and Johnny Reynolds and Greg Meese and a few other guys. We were all just a bunch of goofs, and we got together and formed the Ninja Turtles on the playground. So it was super cool, inspirational. Loved the cartoon, loved the movies, loved the show. I mean, it's just the quintessential 80s cartoon that really redefined what a toy could do and how far-reaching it could be. I mean, this was phenomenal. Eastman and Laird created something that is still selling out on the shelves when it comes out, comic book-wise. It's insane.
It will stand the test of time.
Yep, 100%. Kevin, what's your number? Or, I'm sorry, Jesus, I'm skipping Darren. Darren, what's your number one?
Sorry, if I could just address this one comment. Yes, Brian, I think he's a pharmacist, says Angela. And I'd just like to point out, Donald, if he wouldn't have beat his ass every single day, he would have never become the man he is today.
A pharmacist.
Wow.
Nothing wrong with
That's
that.
a high-paying job, sir.
Yeah, there's nothing wrong with that. I think I did all right then. You're welcome, Brian.
All right, so my number one. We're ready to party! We're ready to party. We're ready. I hope you bring lots of spaghetti.
Oh, my God, yes.
It is, of course, Garfield and Friends.
Yay, I love
The reason that it is my number one is I still watch Garfield and Friends to this day. It has aged terribly well, to say the least. A lot of my sense of humor was molded by Garfield and Friends in many respects. Garfield and Friends, just the humor, it's not embarrassingly kiddie. It is something an adult could definitely appreciate. It's not super highbrow adult stuff, but just the pure dry humor, the great voice of Lorenzo Music. I mean, the characters are complete wackos. I love them. John Arbuckle is delusional. Odie is basically a dimwit that you can't help but like. Binky the Clown is so obnoxious.
Oh my gosh.
Darren, when it's people's birthdays, oftentimes I'll take the YouTube clip of Binky the Clown singing happy birthday, whoop-de-doo, whoop-de-doo. And it's on loop. It's 10 hours of it, I think, on loop.
Gosh.
And I'll put that on people's Facebook page as like a happy birthday wish.
Well, make it nice and pleasant. Make it nice and pleasant. Open up presents.
Just for you.
Just for you. So, you have those characters. You have that. It is also kind of trippy in a weird way, too, especially when you see the weird, like, what do you call it? When they hit that guitar chord and they'll talk about, like, the Klopman diamond, which is just a thing that causes nothing but the opposite of luck everywhere it goes. And then on top of that, not quite as great as Garfield, but pretty strong are the friends over at U.S. Acres. People like Sheldon, the egg. You got Wade the duck and the stupid life preserver that he carries with, or the little floaty he carries with him everywhere. Orson Pig, based, of course, after Orson Welles, always reading books. Orson's Mean Brothers. Roy the Rooster is friggin' hilarious. This is really a cartoon that is, like I said, it's still funny. It has 7 seasons, 121 episodes. It was a quintessential Saturday morning classic. It was usually sandwiched, or I wouldn't say sandwiched. It was right before Saved by the Bell. And then if you're really into, I was not a big Saved by the Bell fan as a kid, but I understand the brilliance of the show. Right after, I was like 7.
Hey, I will agree with you. He was not a fan.
All right, so and after Saved by the Bell would be Captain Planet, and that's when my Saturday morning cartoons would end. So the thing is that you cannot underestimate the greatness of Garfield and Friends, being that before the show even came on, they had great Garfield specials, TV specials. Garfield Goes to Hollywood, On the Town, Christmas, Thanksgiving, Halloween, so on and so forth. This, to me, is my personal favorite 80s cartoon and is definitely worthy of a number 1 on my list.
Good choice, good choice. It made me, I'm telling Louis right now, made me want to eat lasagna. He
Oh,
said,
yeah.
Louis says, I love it when Garfield says, eat and be lazy, kids, and someday you'll have your own show, too. Yeah, kind of, yeah. All right, Kevin, you're number one.
My number one was, which I believe is one of the best 80s songs of all time. Thunder, 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 Thundercats. I mean, come on. This is one of the best openings to a show you can have. I mean, that show, it gets you so pumped up when you were a kid. When it came on, you heard the music, you see all the effects happening, all the crazy action going on. Awesome, awesome show. And 130 episodes of the original series. All these characters are great. Tigra, Panthro, Lion-O, Chitara, Wily Kid, Wily Cat. Even though Snarf was very annoying, but I dealt with him anyway. Snarf, Snarf. There he is. Snarf, Snarf.
What are you saying, Kevin, about Snarf?
Yeah, you're annoying. You know what's funny? You remember later on when the series continued, they had the Planet of the Snarfs? There was like a whole bunch of those things running around. And then, of course, he brought his nephew in. Snarf, was it Snarfer or something like that? It was just crazy. But the bad guys were awesome. Mum-Ra, the ever-living. When he did that incantation, ancient spirits of evil, transform this decayed form to Mum-Ra, the ever-living. I mean, then you got the music going at the same time. Those four, wicked statues are lighting up as he turned into Mum-Ra, the big muscle, creature. I mean, it was an awesome thing. And, that Black Pyramid, Cat's Lair, Castle Plundar, all these places where they operate out of were just great. All on Third Earth. And then, of course, you had like the Obi-Wan Kenobi type character, Jaga, who died in the first episode. So his ghost spirit's always there to guide the Thundercats through all their troubles. Mm-hmm. And then later on, they added a few new Thundercats and Linkso, the blind Thundercat, old Thundercat, Bengali.
Bengali, isn't that where the Phantom's from?
I guess so.
I think so. I think he's from Bengali.
Bengal tiger.
Yeah, Bengal tiger. But a great series. I mean, it starts out with Lion-O being ignorant because, he grows up into like a full-grown man quickly.
He was 13, and then because there was a crack in his hypogenic chamber, he grew. He aged 10 years, so he was 23, a 13-year-old in a 23-year-old's body.
Yep. But eventually he got used to it. He matured over the seasons and he truly became the leader. They even had a great 5 episodes where he had to truly earn to be the leader of the Thundercats. So he had to fight all the different Thundercats and he eventually defeated all of them. He had to take their insignias and then he had to take on Mum-Ra without the Sword of Omens. That was pretty awesome.
Wasn't there that famous masturbation episode too, right?
I don't know about that. You tell me. I don't remember that episode.
Maybe that was just me. Never mind.
Maybe that was just you.
Also, Kevin.
Forget it.
Did Wily Kid and Wily Cat go around like kind of surfing, right? Like the Silver Surfer?
Yeah. They had these cool little surfboards that they would go around. They had these little pellets that would be used as explosive weapons and whatnot.
So they had like hoverboards too.
Yeah, they pretty much had hoverboards.
That's awesome.
All right, Janet. You're up. Right. You're going to close us out.
Everybody who knows me knows.
Oh, yes,
I do. It's going to be Gem, truly outrageous, truly outrageous. Her music is contagious, outrageous. Yes, I love my Gem and the holograms.
Janet, funny enough, Gem was on the Sunday night program, like Sunday morning program package that also had Inhumanoids. But Inhumanoids and Bigfoot, by the way, in the monster trucks. But the most successful one was Gem, and it got picked up for a whole run. I think it ran like 64 or 74 episodes.
It was amazing. It had 4 seasons. My friends bought it for me in the early 2000s.
Nice.
It's a really cool book and all kinds of cool stuff. So it's amazing. And what they should have done with the movie, and if I ever get to do the movie, you gotta set it in the 80s, definitely. They were doing music videos that were animated that had like who the music is by and which producer produced it. Everything just like MTV, like while MTV was just getting started in 1985. So it was very groundbreaking for music. Like we were talking about the rock music of the 80s for this cartoon. And the music videos were also trippy and psychedelic. And so Jerrica Benton, her dad was a scientist. He dies. She discovers these earrings. big star earrings. She puts them in. She accidentally presses on it. And then this voice that's very luminous or very ominous starts talking to her. Jerrica Benton, I know who you are. And it is this creature named Synergy, and she can make anything happen. Like if you want a lion to appear, she'll make it appear. It's a hologram. And she makes instruments appear. It's very like Bill and Ted. It's very magical. All kinds of magical stuff happens. And all these girls that are like actually these women in their 20s form a band. Shayna, Kimber, Aja, and Jem, who's really Jerrica. They're already in a band, but they also own an orphanage called Starlight House, so they help all these younger girls too, including Ba Ni, who's Vietnamese, has a really cool name, and they have a lot of crazy adventures. And at the end of it too, they do give those service messages about don't do drugs, kids. It's not great. You're gonna hallucinate and your life is gonna be terrible. And also, when this girl did take drugs in one episode, she pretended that she could fly, and she almost threw herself out a window, and Jem, with her brute strength with one arm, lifted the girl back up through the window.
Wow.
Pretty amazing. There were also character names like Tech Rat and this evil guy Eric Raymond, who owned half the company of Starlight Music when Jem's dad died. They were always fighting. And then there's the Misfits, like no relation to the band, with Pizzazz and Stormer and Roxy. And Roxy was also dyslexic, so they did an episode on dyslexia, which was really interesting. Always a benefit for it. Oddly, Roxy also had pink eyes and white hair like a rabbit, which was a little scary. But they had really cool hair that was pink and purple and blue, and the dolls were way bigger than a Barbie doll with really big feet. So they had to wear their specific shoes and clothes. You could not put Barbie clothes on them. And they had an amazing rock and roadster that had a radio that actually played in the toy car.
Really? That's cool.
It was really awesome, called the Rock and Roadster. And the Roadster looked like a Rolls Royce, but like from the 1930s. It was really cool.
Yeah. Man, we were talking about this yesterday, Janet. I don't know Jem well enough at all. I mean, when I find the comics, I buy them and get them to you. But
yay.
I never look through them and read them.
And you've given me so many, like
what is that?
I lost you.
Are you flushing?
No, just lost power for some reason.
There he is. Okay.
But
right.
I got to dress up like Jem a couple times for Halloween and Synergy, and magically at one of your Halloween parties, Donald, there was a woman named Jenna who dressed up like Jem, and I was Synergy, and it was so magical that we were both there dressed up like Jem characters.
That was a really odd moment for sure, like that would happen.
I love that. That was amazing. And the movie, though, was so bad, but I would go to my next door neighbor Brett's house, and he would watch Transformers, I think, first, and then Jem, and then G.I. Joe. So he watched Jem with me.
So guys, real quick, thank you for listening. Before you go, I want to mention something really quickly. We've got something very special coming up, something big for us here on the Real Short Box, and I just want to give you a little taste of what might be coming at some point. So here we go. That's right, guys. We've got a big announcement that's coming. We have another sponsor that is coming to the Real Short Box, and it is going to be a big one. So I am totally stoked. We're all totally excited for this. Can't wait to tell you more about it, but that's all we have for right now. That's the tease. And I don't even know if it has anything to really relate to it, but it's just super cool, and I couldn't help but share that. So thank you for tuning in, everybody. Next week, we will be talking about... Kevin, tell them what we're talking about.
If I recall, it's supposed to be, since Mother's Day is coming up, the best mothers throughout all of media, I believe.
Yep, pretty much best moms. So we're going to be talking about television and movie moms. Definitely going to be talking about that. Real quick, we have a couple comments. Hakeem says, Jem is my name. No one else is the same. Maria says, lots of fun memories with this show. Thanks, guys. Have a good night, everybody. Sammy says, heck yes. Angie says, awesome. Congrats. Thank you, Angie. We're really excited about it. So thank you so much. It's going to be really cool when it does officially happen. It'll probably be in a couple weeks that we'll be able to announce it. But for right now, that's just a tease. We are doing these live podcasts. We'll be doing Best Moms next week in the podcast realm. And then the following week, we will be doing a live podcast on... It's going to be a Royal Rumble, guys. We are doing Wrestling Heroes. We will have the same type of you vote scenario where the audience participates and votes for their favorite wrestler to win. That favorite wrestler of the heroes will then face the following week. Your choice is the ultimate wrestling villain, to where they will pit one against the other in an ultimate battle in the Royal Rumble to see who outlasts who and who is the ultimate victor, good or evil. So tune in for those.
I can also add to that, too, that we will have an actual wrestling expert joining us for those 2 episodes. People who are, we have options right now, actually. People that are scholars, people that actually run wrestling promotions and are actually actively wrestling.
Yep.
Will be sitting here making fun of all of our terrible decisions that we're making. But we'll also give great historical context. And I suspect they may have worked with a few of the people that we might have on.
And I'll do my terrible Macho Man impersonation. That'll be fun. You guys will love that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Kevin will do one too. It'll be a great time. Hopefully Slim Jims will be passed around. We don't know. Something crazy is going to happen. But that'll be coming up as well. So that's our programming coming up in the near future, next 3 weeks that we have coming. Tune into those. Also, we have a lot of fun audio podcasts coming up. We have a Casting the X-Men Movies audio podcast. Special guest Remington Kais will be joining us on that. I'll be interviewing him, and we'll be discussing that this week. Will be our audio pod. It'll land late Thursday, early Friday. We will have some more Creasing of Our Pages podcasts that'll be coming up in the near future in the next week or 2 as well. And a whole host of other fun audio podcasts that'll be coming along with it as companion pieces to these live podcasts. So thank you for tuning in. Thank you for listening. And Janet, thank you for being our guest tonight. You did a wonderful job.
Thank you, Janet.
Oh, thank you for having me.
Gotta come back.
Really appreciate it.
I'd love that.
Thank you,
Thanks so much.
everybody that was in the chats that tuned in tonight for this. Tell your friends, tell your family.
Thank you.
Tell everybody, and hopefully someday, yes, subscribe to us on YouTube. So, like us, give us a thumbs up. Subscribe to us on audio podcast platforms. That does help the algorithm and boosts our viewability for other people that can find us out there. So we do appreciate that. Thank you, Kevin, for reminding me. Thank you all for tuning in. And perhaps someday, if we're out and about anytime soon, we will see you
at the luscious, precious, valuable, sweet, homely, and caring comic book shop.
Good night, Mom. Good night, everybody.
Truly outrageous.
Bye.